Investors, welcome back to Green Money Momentum. I'm your host, Trevor, and we are here for our first ever early morning session, our first ever pre-market live stream for Green Money Momentum. And we have a very special one for this morning as we are going to see QBTS reporting earnings here in just about 6 minutes. And so it is very early out here in Tempe, Arizona. Right now it is 3:54 a.m. But I am doing this early because QBTS is one of my favorite companies, and I see that we have 8 here in the live stream. So to everybody who is here for this early morning, thank you guys all for joining me, and good morning to everybody. Just yesterday, we did a live stream for QUBT and Rigetti. Both of the companies reported great earnings. And now this morning, we have D-Wave Quantum reporting. This is my favorite quantum company. D-Wave Quantum is going to be reporting here in just 5 minutes, and then an hour after that at 5 a.m. my time. So I would be curious to hear what time it is in your area, but here in Arizona, it will be 5 a.m. when we do get that earnings call. We do get an indication on how D-Wave just did this last quarter, and also we get an indication on how the future may be looking. As we always talk about with these quarterly earnings, it's always kind of like a basketball game or a football game where it's a two-half scenario. First, we get the initial earnings report, which again, we will get here in just a couple of minutes. And then after that, just an hour later, we get the second half where the company does officially give us the guidance going forward. It looks like we got 2 different comments here already to start the morning. So to both of you, thank you for joining me. Happy early morning here. We have a user here who I've never seen, so Fit. I'm Jashri. Thank you for joining us. You say it is $12.50. Well, yesterday we were looking at qubits, so you may be referring over to quantum computing again. We have 3 different favorite quantum computing companies that we look at. The one that we are covering this morning, QBTS, D-Wave Quantum, that is my favorite. Then after that, we have Qubit, and then we have Rigetti. So if you missed it just yesterday, we did a live stream for quantum computing and Rigetti, and we broke through some major levels of resistance on QUBT, which is having quite the run this morning. So we are having a big run up in anticipation for this big earnings with QBTS. As we've talked about with the quantum sector many times, this sector, all of the quantum plays do run in quite a bit of correlation. And with these earnings reports, we always like to look at the main levels of gamma exposure. Gamma influences delta, and with the delta with these options contracts, the gamma exposure can just show where some levels really do act as price magnets. It's crazy how accurate these gamma exposure levels can be. So just yesterday, we were looking at Qubit's gamma exposure levels, and we did break through some major levels of gamma between 10, 1050, 11, and then at the highest point of gamma exposure being right around $12. And now Qubit is at $12 plus. So for QBTS, a major level of gamma here, we have a strike price at 25. Here in the pre-market, we have already broken past those main levels of gamma. So this is incredible to see. What is amazing about QBTS reporting this morning is, as I've been saying recently, it really does appear that we have a similar setup to last year. If we do look at the major indexes of the S&P and the NASDAQ, the SPY here on the left, the triple Qs on the right, both had a very similar setup last year where we did see a big sell-off going into April. Then we did see a big pop up, and this was what some coined as the most hated V recovery of all time. Now, once again, we have seen a big drop, a correction, what looks like a technical bounce, and now we are right back into quantum week, as I have been calling it, and that is where all these quantum companies are reporting earnings. So this morning we are seeing big movements within quantum anticipation for this big earnings, guys, which is going to be released in just 1 minute. So in just 1 minute, we are officially going to get the news with QBTS and their earnings. We'll officially see how this company does report. I love the coffee emoji. Chrysanthemum, thank you for joining us. I got my coffee here as promised for this early morning live stream pre-market here at Arizona right now. It is 3:59 a.m. It looks like we got 24 in the live stream. So thank you all thank you to everybody who is joining me. We got some early risers here in the chat. We'll be watching the sunrise out here in Arizona. Not only do we have this big earnings coming from QBTS, we also have some big news this morning, as we do have some economic reports from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. These will be coming here in about 3 hours, and that is with the CPI. Sorry, an hour and a half here. This will be 5:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will get core CPI, so we will have those inflation numbers officially coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So we also have that website up, and let's take a look here real quick to see if we could see how QBTS did officially report on their earnings. And again, I really do appreciate everyone who has joined me this morning. We have 20 here in the live stream, which is amazing to see because I had to wake up early to do this, but I don't mind because I absolutely love doing this. Again, we had a ton of fun in yesterday's live stream, and so much fun that so many of you are joining me for this morning. I'm going to take a look here at the live chat. I would be curious to hear how you guys all are doing this morning, who has positions in quantum. I'm expecting some pretty big things. What was amazing about 2025 is in 2025, that was when I saw my most euphoric return on investment, and that was from D-Wave Quantum. I have a great position now in D-Wave as well as some of these other companies. So it does look like we have officially now seen on their website, we got the official first quarter 2026 results, record quarterly earnings. Let's go. A record quarterly bookings of 33.4 million, up nearly 2,000% year over year. Let's go. This is why I love D-Wave Quantum, why this is one of my favorite quantum computing companies, because D-Wave works with a ton of different corporations. What was amazing about 2025 with D-Wave is they were picking up a lot of big commercial customers. This company right here, QBTS, D-Wave Quantum, when it comes to the quantum computing sector, they kind of went a separate way from the other quantum computing companies in the early days of quantum. So there is gate model quantum, and then there is also annealing quantum. If you don't understand quantum computing or you want to learn more, a book that I recommend, we kept talking about this yesterday, is Michio Kaku and Quantum Supremacy. This book is a tremendous book. It talks all about the history of computers and just also about, exactly what quantum computers are, how this technology does work. But in simplest terms, in the early days of quantum, the other quantum computing companies went more with gate model quantum, where D-Wave Quantum went more with annealing. So on the initial earnings report, it does look like there has been a bit of a sell-off, but this comes from a big jump up. Again, right now we are up by 6%, and we have some major gamma levels right around that 25 strike for the bulls. Now, if we do look at the bears, they do want to see it get crushed down. We have some puts all the way down to 1750. Again, this is for the weekly option gamma. This is for weekly options with gamma. So the weekly GEX, the option expiration that will be for this upcoming Friday. This again just shows where some major levels of price action can occur, where there are some major price magnets. And again, right now we are above the most major level of gamma. So we could see what could be considered a gamma squeeze if we do see the bulls continue to take control within QBTS. And so just reading what was just reported. This is on their website right here. D-Wave's first quarter performance highlights what sets this company apart: strong execution, expanding commercial adoption, and differentiated technology leadership across both annealing and gate model quantum computing. So I might have gotten off topic there, again, talking about the early days of quantum. The other companies went with gate model, where D-Wave went with annealing. Both are very useful types of quantum computers, but annealing is a bit more useful in today's world. Alan Baratz, who is an absolute legend, the CEO of D-Wave, said, as the only quantum computing company pursuing both annealing and gate model quantum computing systems, we believe that D-Wave is uniquely positioned to participate in the full addressable quantum computing market. Our acquisition, looks like we got a big acquisition here of Quantum Circuits, is expected to meaningfully accelerate our delivery of scalable, error-corrected gate model system, while our record-setting $10 million quantum computing as a service agreement with a Fortune 100 company reinforced growing demand for our annealing systems. We believe that D-Wave's combination of commercial proof, technical breadth, and a differentiated path to gate model, error correction, and scaling will be increasingly prominent as this market matures. And then we're going to see here, we got some more numbers here. Let's just take a look here to see on Earnings Hub if it has officially updated here to see. So we did get quarter one of 2026. It actually looks like they slightly did miss on Wall Street's expectations, but it looks like some great guidance coming up. Again, we'll read more on this earnings report, but the next quarterly expected to be even larger. They did come in with a quarterly at 2.86 million. So they did technically beat the last quarter of 2025, not quite where they were for Q3 of 2025. Overall, the earnings look like they came in at about what usually has been expected with D-Wave here in the short term. Again, above a major level of gamma exposure right here. Let's see if D-Wave can hold above these levels and if the bulls can get what they want. Looking at the other quantum plays, again, they are running hot this morning. So QUBT above $12, which yesterday we were talking about those major levels of gamma exposure. We had a lot around 12. And then let's take a look to see if Rigetti has woken up. It does look like Rigetti is also starting to have some movement here. Yesterday's earnings report with Rigetti, in my perception, was a great earnings report, but the stock did remain in a channel and was pretty flat. So great to see some movements here this morning for Rigetti. Again, we're going to get here back to QBTS's earnings here in a second, but it does look like they officially did miss, at least on Wall Street's expectations for revenue. Hello from Barcelona. Hello from Arizona. I would be curious to hear, my friend, what time it is in your area code. It is 4:07 a.m. out here in Arizona. So, you know, it's funny. I woke up, I set my alarm for 3:30. It was a rough time waking up, but I am dedicated to this channel, dedicated to Green Money Momentum. And this is the earliest live stream I have ever done. And what a great surprise you guys have given me by waking up early with me. For those of you who are early, or if you're in Barcelona, you know, I would be curious what time it is where you are at. Give me a second, guys. Looks like my bulb here might have just died. So there we go. I thought we died there on the bulb, but anyway, thank you for joining me all the way from Barcelona, Pablo. It does look like we are right at this major level of gamma exposure, right at 25. Again, this is massive because if we do open up above 25 or near 25, this is where a lot of gamma exposure on QBTS is. This is where a lot of calls are placed. And so this is where, if we do break through these levels, the bulls can get what is considered a gamma squeeze, a very popular word during the GameStop times, but it does look like we are breaking down right here. So it does look like a sell-off is currently happening with QBTS, still at elevated levels, still having that anticipation, that run up to where we are at right now. But right now we are seeing a bit of a sell-off. But again, remember that these are a two-part scenario. These are a two-half game. We get the initial earnings report with the company, and then shortly after, we do get that official earnings report. So it does look like QBTS this morning having a crazy run up. I'm just looking here on my phone. We got all the way up to, at one point, $26. Right now we have sold back down to $24.77, but here in the pre-market we are still up by 3%. So let's see if we could get some type of a cap to this bleeding. Again, a lot of gamma exposure right around 25. We also have a decent amount of gamma for the calls around 24 and then also 23. So let's just mark out these levels here. So let's mark out 24. Let's get a marker here. These are just some main levels where we could see these act as real price magnets here. And then let's get our 23 mark out here as well. So it does look like a lot of that anticipation is being eaten up by Wall Street right now. But let's see if Alan Baratz, the CEO, and the insiders at QBTS have anything exciting to say here in just about 50 minutes when we do officially get that earnings call with D-Wave Quantum. And then hi from Frankfurt, Golden Hayes, thank you for joining us this morning. It's up 6%. Well, having a bit of a drop now here in the pre-market. We're about to possibly go into the red here. So with the official release of this earnings report, Wall Street right now not taking the kindest to it. We are seeing a bit of a sell-off. And let's look back at just what the company had to say. So now going to the first quarter 2026 financial highlights. Revenue for the first Q of 2026 was 2.9 million, a decrease of 12 million or 81% from revenue of 15 million quarter for the first quarter of 2025. That included 12.6 million in revenue recognized from the company's first sale of an annealing quantum computing system. I believe this was a supercomputer that they sold out in Germany. This was for the first quarter of 2025. And so when we do go over to QBTS here, let me pull them up here. Give me just a second. We could see that Q1 of 2025, they did have that massive quarterly at 15 million. It is not a surprise that today's quarterly did not come in quite as large as that quarterly as from last year. Again, that comes from a big sale that they had last year, a big supercomputer, a big quantum computer out in Germany. So right now we have actually went into the red with QBTS. So that is not fun to see. It is not fun to wake up here at an early 3 a.m. just to see your stock go from the green to the red. But this is also why it is good to wake up early. It's good to be in the news to know what is happening with your companies. And so thus far now, we have seen a sell-off in QBTS. For the most part, QBTS, D-Wave Quantum now losing all of the most of the gains that we have seen here in the pre-market. But again, let's see if we could break through these levels. Again, a lot of gamma exposure, a lot of calls right around 23, more placed at 24, and then we have even more, the highest level of gamma exposure right around at $25. So now it does seem that it is sitting here at the middle. We do have some price action going up here in the middle. Why does it go up before earnings? Is that a bull trap? Well, before earnings, there is always some type of volatile movement. Again, there's a lot of gamma exposure where a lot of dealers are placed, a lot of calls, a lot of puts going on. And so just a lot of price magnetism and a lot of life and energy at different levels. And so you always initially get that pre-earnings anticipation, whether it's some type of a sell-off or some type of a jump. You get the initial report, which we just got, which it does appear that they slightly missed on expectations. And then after that, just an hour from now, well, actually 47 minutes from now, we will get that official earnings call. And so again, the company did miss in terms of revenue. Their bookings for the first quarter of 2026 2026, however, were $33.4 million, an increase of $31.8 million, or 1,994% from bookings of $1.6 million for the first quarter of 2025. The quarterly bookings include a $20 million system sale, the revenue for which will be recognized in subsequent quarters. And so year over year quarterly bookings, they did do great here. Again, I love what D-Wave does when it comes to their customer acquisition. During the first quarter of 2026, D-Wave recognized revenue from over 100 individual customers, with over 50% of such customers being commercial enterprises. That is wonderful to hear. QBTS doing tremendous when it comes to customer acquisition, and also with a lot of big commercial customers. So that is wonderful to see. Their net loss for the first quarter of 2026 was $18.4 million, or 5 cents per share, an increase of $13 million or 3 cents per share compared with the net loss of $5.4 million or 2 cents per share for the first quarter of 2025, with the increase due primarily to higher operating expenses and lower gross profit, partially offset by the increase of an income tax benefit of $28.5 million that stems from the acquisition of Quantum Circuits. I'm very interested to hear more about this acquisition of Quantum Circuits. Overall, again, they did not come in with as great of a quarterly as they did last year for Q1 of 2025. But again, some lofty expectations if you're going year over year, as last year they did have that big sale of that big quantum computer out in Germany. So the company, in my opinion, still released a pretty decent earnings, just slightly missing on expectations by Wall Street. But again, their bookings are up. So that is great to see. A lot of real use case scenario with QBTS for a lot of big commercial applications. And then maybe he refers to time as it is 12:57 here. Well, that is funny, Golden Haze. I thought you were talking about QUBT, because just yesterday we did an earnings report. Less than 24 hours ago, we did the earnings report for Qubit and then also Rigetti, which is still having some big movements. So to me, this is Quantum Week. Let's see if Alan Baratz and the members of D-Wave Quantum can say something to reverse this boat around once again. Already in this pre-market, we have broken through some major levels of gamma exposure. So let's see if the insiders can say something bullish and we could get to those higher levels, to the highest level of gamma exposure for this weekly OPEX, which is at 25. Either we're going to get a big break back up, the quantum sector in general, Qubit, Rigetti, QBTS can continue to run up, or the insiders will disappoint us and we could break through some more major levels of gamma exposure. Only time will tell. Again, that will be here in about 40 minutes. And then peer expectations, and then sitting on the sell button. My friend, I am long on QBTS and the entire quantum market. So I've talked about it many times, how in 2025 I saw my most euphoric ROI. What was incredible is it got kicked off right around this time last year. So literally the exact same time with that Q1 of last year, and incredible the movements that we saw throughout the year. So we've already had a more than 50% sell-off from the peak that was set back in October. Now we are down by a little bit less than 50% because the peak was at 45. Now we are at 24, right at the 200-day moving average. I am very faithful in QBTS. Again, what I love about this company is they do have some very useful technology. As Alan Baratz said with this earnings report, one of the things that we started out with talking is about how QBTS has focused on the annealing side of quantum, where many of the other companies, their initial focus and what they still focus on is the gate model side of things. And it does look like with the bookings, QBTS is continuing to pick up a lot of commercial customers, which is tremendous to see. And then Golden Haze says, LOL won't sell till mid-June at least. We may see a quantum rally starting. Yeah, I do agree with you. This is Quantum Week. We just got great earnings yesterday from Qubit and Rigetti. They did beat on Wall Street's expectations. Now, we have not seen the same this morning with QBTS. They slightly missed on expectations by Wall Street, but their bookings year over year has increased. So they are still doing tremendous when it does come to picking up new customers. And again, we will get that official earnings report here in just a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what they do have to say. Also, I'm going to have to sign up for their earnings call so we could all be in that together. So I'm going to sign up to the earnings call. Give me just a second, everybody. I'm going to get the screen off here. Just leave it on me so we don't see my individual information. You guys don't need to see my email, my name, and all that. So let me sign up right now for the investor call. Again, this is a tremendous turnout for the early morning. So 4:18, almost 4:20 out here in Tempe, Arizona, waking up early, but that's because I love what I do here. I thank every single one of you who have joined me for today. This is very exciting. We got some members outside of the United States. For everybody who is here, please drop in the comment section below where you are coming out of. I would be curious to hear what time frame it is where you are at, where you are currently in the world. We are just getting ready to set up for this earnings call that we should get here in just about 40 minutes with QBTS. I'm just trying to find it here where I could see the official earnings call. So give me just a second, everybody. Give me 1 second, everybody. I'll be right back. Thank you again to everyone who's here. We have 35 in this early morning. We got some early risers here. And it does look like in terms of price action, we are starting to see a pushback up within D-Wave. So again, around these major levels of gamma exposure. Now QBTS back at 25.10. Let's go over and take a look at how the stock actually is performing. Again, super exciting. Thank you to everybody who has joined me for this live stream today. This is so much fun. And right now we could see that QBTS is right around these levels right here. So again, what's incredible about looking at gamma exposure and weekly OPEX. I'm not saying that this tool is an exact science. I'm not saying that it works 100% of the time, but what is exciting with this tool, it is just a nice way to see where price magnetism may be for our stocks. Also, I wanted to say today is very interesting because many are very fearful right now. So despite being at levels of greed on the fear and greed index yesterday, we did get some news from President Trump. He was talking about, what did he say? Something about Iran and how we are on life support with this deal. Well, in my opinion, just looking into today could be a very bullish day if we do get some type of taco from the president, because what is today? Well, it is Tuesday, and we have known with President Trump that a lot of these Tuesdays end up being Taco Tuesday. So we got that. And also we do have the CPI report coming out here in about 1 hour and 10 minutes. So just 30 minutes after that earnings call does get kicked off with QBTS. Pardon me, by the way, if I'm fumbling over any of my words. It is early out here in Tempe, Arizona. The sun has not even rose yet. It is still a pitch black outside, but we will have that CPI report. Overall, we do know that this report is coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, so I would not be surprised if this earnings report, or if this the CPI report does come out better than expected. Again, cooked numbers from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and we see some type of a big push within the markets. Also, we do know that later this week on the 14th, Trump is set out to go to Beijing, and he's looking to bring out some big CEOs with him. So he's looking out to bring the legend Elon Musk, Tim Cook with Apple, Larry Fink with Oracle, and some other CEOs to join for the summit. And as we have talked about also throughout this week, again, if this is your first time joining me, we go live every single Sunday, just 30 minutes before the overnight session starts on Sunday. We do a weekly preparation video. And what I have been saying, long-term thought, I do believe that the money helicopter is coming back and that the Fed and the government is about to print a ton of money. And we have Kevin Warsh, who is expected to become the federal chairman this upcoming week on the 15th. And so that will be on Friday. So that is extremely exciting for that. Also, by the way, I am now officially signing up for this live earnings. So I have this going on in another tab here. So let me go back to the price action for what you guys want to see. Again, we are seeing 25 act as a major level of price magnetism right now, being a major level of resistance. Funny enough, we have 25 also here in the chat. So let's see if we could break through this level of 25. A lot of big things happening this morning. Not only do we have one of our favorite companies of D-Wave Quantum reporting this morning, we just had that here just about 20 minutes ago. We also do have the CPI report that will be released just 30 minutes into the live call with QBTS. So a lot of volatility associated with this morning. The pre-market is so exciting. Again, 25 being a major level of price resistance. Are the earnings good for D-Wave? I have a good feeling. Again, thank you for joining us. I just signed up for the live. This will be in getting to that soon. The earnings thus far, at least in terms of numbers, they did miss on Wall Street's expectations when it did come to revenue. And then when it did come to earnings per share, I'm just refreshing my tab here. Give me just a second. They did actually beat, it does look like, in terms of earnings per share estimates. And so let me share this tab here. Let me get myself off of screen here. Okay, accidentally muted my mic, but it does appear that they did beat on Wall Street's estimates for revenue. The EPS estimate was to come in at -8 cents per share. They came in at -5. And then in terms of revenue, they did slightly miss there for the revenue. But again, one positive from this quarterly that we just read with the results, this company still does have a lot of progress happening within a lot of customer bookings year over year. So they are doing great there. And then it does appear that they just made a big quantum acquisition. I'm leveraged too. I love leverage. I love leverage when done properly. So as always, I have my 6 golden trading rules. One I is to never over leverage. You never want to get over leveraged and destroy yourself. But what is great is if you do have a proper amount of leverage. I have some QBTS shares. I also have some QBTS options contracts. If you do make the correct call, that leverage can really elevate you. So I'm in Qubit. I'm in QBTS. I'm also in Rigetti. So well positioned within the quantum sector, Golden Hage. And then Stanley says dropped. Yes, we did have an initial drop, but what's incredible, again, we always look at the main levels of gamma exposure, which to me really do show the most accurate spots of real price magnetism, the real levels of support and resistance. Again, with gamma exposure, we did fall down to a lower level under 25, which is the main level where all the calls are placed right now. We did drop all the way down to at one point right around $24. So when we do look at the gamma, we drop down to this lower level here at 25, but now fighting for life at 25. So let's see if the bulls can take control. When we just look at net gamma, we take away the call gamma and the put gamma. Again, look at that bar right there, $25 acting as a major level of price magnetism, which is where we are currently at right now. Funny enough, this is looking like Rigetti's earnings yesterday. We got a great earnings report with Rigetti, but the stock was purely flat. We saw a lot of movement with QUBT, but Rigetti was super flat in itself. Now Rigetti is pushing up. I actually placed a short-term trade in Rigetti after yesterday. Currently, up now. So it is great to see some movement within Rigetti. What's great about this quantum sector, whether you are in QBTS, QUBT, or Rigetti, this sector does move in quite a bit of correlation. And today could be very bullish for the markets depending on how those CPI reports come out, or if we get some type of taco from our president. So funny, the acronyms we have for President Trump and what is going out in the Middle East right now. We have taco, Trump always chickens out, and then we also have nacho. Not a chance that the Hormuz is opening. I think that is pretty funny. And then chart looking good. Well, what I will say right now, what's great is the chart did have an initial drop with that earnings report, but again, quite flat, similar to Rigetti. So it's not like thus far we have seen some type of intense sell-off. We did get a big red candlestick with that initial earnings report. Again, slightly missing on Wall Street's expectations, but now we are seeing some consolidation. And what I love here with QBTS, again, we do have their earnings call here in about 30 minutes. And the insiders here at Quantum, they do tend to say some very bullish things. I agree. No huge dump thus far. It's also up in the pre-market, bro. And what's great too, again, this is the pre-market. We do have a lot of calls placed around that $25 mark. And so if the D-Wave insiders, if the representatives, if Alan Baratz or any other of these members can say positive things, and we can bust through this level of 25, we can start to see a big gamma squeeze potentially. Again, what I love about the quantum sector, there is a ton of volatility with quantum. And also when we do look at the short interest with QBTS, we talked a lot about this in 2025. This quantum sector is heavily shorted. And so this right here is a mid market cap, slightly under 9 billion on the market cap, but a decently high short interest at close to 15%. So if we do start to see some acceleration through these levels, again, 25 acting as a major level of resistance right now, we can start to see a big squeeze up in QBTS and the entire quantum sector. Can someone tell me what's happening? Well, maybe you're a little dazed and confused. Maybe you just woke up just like I did moments ago. Ring videos, or I hope you're referring to the Ring doorbell cam. Do you have a Ring doorbell cam? Let me know in the comments section. But if you are confused, we did just get an earnings report from QBTS. They slightly missed on the estimates, but it does look like there is some positives within this earnings report. Again, bookings up year over year, and they did just make a big acquisition. So all of that is exciting. Come on, QBTS. I agree with you, Pablo. I would like to see us bust through this level of 25 and go beyond that, man. Go to the earnings. Come on. How many shares does everyone have? Stop time wasting. Hey, we're not time wasting. We're here, friend. If we were time wasting, we would have never woken up. But I'm here for you guys. And again, all of you are here with me. We have 37 in the live stream, 37 before the sun even comes out in my area. So thank you to everyone who has joined me. We always go live every single Sunday, 30 minutes before the markets open. So if you're new here, if this is your first time ever attending one of my lives, we're going live every single Sunday, as well as for many different earnings reports. I always have fun with this. It's 107 where you're at. It's 207 where you are at. Well, that is great, bro. Cut the chase. Tell the figures. Down 6%. Hurry up. Why are we falling? Are the earnings not good or what? Relax. It can switch in an instant. You guys, practice your patience like Golden Haze is here. Golden Haze understands that this is a two-half game. We got the first half, then we have the second half. In the first half here, we are having a battle. You could think about it like a football game. We are kind of tied right here. The score is 14-14, and we are going into halftime. What's great about technical analysis right now, again, we did have a big run-up for the anticipation of this earnings. Got a bit of a sell-off, but now we are at a lower level on the RSI, and it does appear that we may get a bullish reversal on the MACD. What's great about this earnings report is we may have the perfect scenario here, the perfect combination with this company reporting great earnings. If Alan Baratz or any of the insiders with Quantum have something really positive to say, some positive guidance, that mixed with the CPI report, if the CPI does come in better than expectations for Wall Street, we can see a lot of momentum within the markets. Right now, when we do look at the S&P, the SPY, and the triple Qs, both are slightly in the red, but this is no concern to me. I do believe that we will see more of a rally today. It's so funny when we do look at both of the major indexes. This does piss off a lot of macro guys. We have been seeing a crazy rally most recently, despite inflation coming in high, despite the Strait of Hormuz situation and everything going on out there. So a lot of macro guys are pissed off right now with what we have been seeing, but the markets are showing that they are not the economy and that they don't care about feelings. Wall Street can't be disassociated with Main Street. And then 2.8 versus estimated 3.4. Where do you see it? Go to D-Wave's website. Go to their earnings. Just type in D-Wave Quantum and then go look at investor relations. Earnings release in 48 minutes. Calm down, everybody. I agree. It's like we have some panic here in the live chat, but really not too much has happened. Again, this is why I like to draw out these levels, because this could just show where some major levels of gamma exposure are. Again, if the bulls get their way, we are right at a major neckline of resistance here. If we do get to 25, if we can hold 25 by the time the markets open, well, again, there is a lot of cal gamma right around that price of $25. So if we do break through this, we could see some major price acceleration. On the lower points, if the bears get what they want to see some of the puts here at a low spot of 18. I don't believe we will go that low, but we have some numbers lower in the 20s. If we do see some of those calls expire worthless, we could drop below 23. So I just have here what is my expected movements for QBTS. Again, this is a major level of resistance that we did break through this morning. If we do break through this into the official market session for today, as we get into the normal market past the pre-market, if we do go above 25, it's really unknown how much QBTS can run up more today. We just got to get through these major levels that I have marked out here. Earnings are not important in Quantum right now because it's about guidance and deals. Golden Haze, very intelligent here. Yes, we have the 2-half game. We got the first half where we get the official earnings report, which we just got. And with the Quantum sector, yes, of course, we want to see these companies be on the earnings, but historically, they have not had great earnings. And again, a tough expectation set for D-Wave, especially if you look at Q1 of 2025, because back then they sold that massive supercomputer, that massive quantum computer out in Germany. Again, the revenue today was not actually too bad for some of the history that we've seen with this company, right at about 2.86 million, but slightly missing on Wall Street's estimates. But what's great is they did not just miss on the estimates, and then have a big sell-off. We saw a little bit of a sell-off, but nothing too crazy. Again, if you're just hyper-focusing on this little movement right here, well, it's like the little bit of a sell-off that happened. Is it really much of a sell-off when you really look at the fact that QBTS is still green here in the pre-market, still green by 2.46%. And then, yes, and the deals are very good by QBTS, and we're getting through the chat here. I live in Australia, currently have $8,000 of US dollars invested. That is tremendous, my friend. You're 16. Well, hey, that's very great that you're here at 16, spending your time with us, looking to improve, looking to learn. As I always say, the more you learn, the more you earn. And those that don't understand quantum, I just read here in the comment section, somebody saying that it's not all about the revenue that we are seeing right now, but the future guidance of quantum. I could not agree with you enough, my friend. A great book if you don't understand quantum computing. Again, I cannot recommend it enough. Michio Kaku with Quantum Supremacy. This is a great book. It just talks about the history of computers. It talks about binary code with classical computers 1010 and how quantum computers work with a lot of atoms, and then how also quantum is basically 1 and 0 combined together for infinite possibilities. If you don't know who Michio Kaku is, I'll type him in really quick because I know many of you will recognize him. So if you don't recognize him by name, this is Michio Kaku. He is a scientist. He is well known around the quantum community. And again, despite seeing a little bit of a sell-off this morning thus far, again, I say sell-off. It's so funny. There's been some panic here in the live chat. Not even much of a sell-off. Still here, green in the pre-market. If anything, in terms of technical analysis, we may be setting up for a bullish reversal here under the neckline of resistance at 25. But we will have their official earnings here in about 20 minutes. Also, in the live chat, drop down below if there are any other tickers that you do want me to look at. Solid to start early. The earnings are at 1400, right? Like in 45 minutes. Yes, in about 20 minutes here at 5 a.m. Eastern, 5 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, 5 a.m. out here in Arizona. And then we are, oh, my guy, what is up? Two Wheels Pursuit, a fucking legend here for the pre-market live stream. Two Wheels Pursuit, thank you for joining us here early today. Another longtime subscriber of this channel. Again, for everyone who is joining for the first time, we go live every single Sunday, just 30 minutes before the overnight session starts. We talk about everything to prepare for this upcoming week. This week, we talked all about quantum computing and how this week themed is Quantum Week. And so Two Wheels Pursuit shows up to every single live stream, making the journey for this morning, as well as Chrysanthemum joining us for this morning, also a longtime subscriber who is here for most of our live stream. So both Prasan and Two Wheels Pursuit, again, thank you both for joining me. And this is tremendous, guys. We have 36 here in the live stream for this morning, so it was definitely worth waking up today. I hope everybody is having a great time. If you haven't already, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. The main stocks that I focus here on in this channel are all around technology, small caps, quantum, robotics, and artificial intelligence. So the technology sector is what I am mainly in, and I do feel that there is a big rotation going back into technology, and I do believe that there's a lot of price acceleration that is still to come with these quantum plays, because when we do look at these semiconductors in the markets right now, AMD at all-time highs, NVIDIA shooting up to the moon. We have other semiconductor stocks seeing some crazy price action. I do believe that quantum will soon follow. So right now here on May 12th, this is a beautiful time in history. The stock QBTS is at $24. But if we just zoom out, if we don't just look at next candle mentality, incredible where we could possibly go up with QBTS. Overall, it does also appear that we are starting to build an uptrend. And so we did have quite the sell-off from the highs, but now most recently, we have seen some lower highs and higher lows be created. So let's see again if Alan Baratz and the insiders at QBTS can say something positive to keep the rally continuing. Technically here in the pre-market, we are in the green by about 2%, but having a little bit of a sell-off with the initial earnings. But again, maybe this is just setting up a bullish reversal. We have dropped on the RSI and on the MACD. We may be seeing a bullish reversal. Thanks, I overslept. Well, hey, you did not oversleep too much, Two Wheels. You did still join us for this morning. So thank you, my friend, for being here. Currently 9 p.m. Well, that is great. So you get to go through this earnings report, and then you get to go to bed. You get to go me, and have a nice sleep. I will just be getting started with my day. Again, I'm going to see the sunset here as we go through the live call here. So the live call will be at 5 a.m. The markets officially open up for me at 6:30 a.m. 5:18 in Albuquerque. Hey, Paul, thanks for joining us here early. Thanks for making the time to wake up and join us for this early morning live stream. Very successful. By the way, we have 37 in the chat, so this is great. Again, when we just talk about quantum computing, when we just talk about computers, the internet in general, I am so amazed by all of this. I can't believe here at 4:42 a.m., early, before many people have even woken up here in Arizona, I am spending my time with 38 intelligent, great investors. And so the internet is so incredible, bringing all of us together. We have 39 now, so the 40 of us all coming together, all here for QBTS and their earnings report. Incredible that we can even see this. Not only do we get real-time news and data, not only do we get that real earnings report released in real time, we then see the price action in real time. This is crazy. Imagine showing a guy from the 1930s this, back in the day when it came to investing, you had to have a broker. At one point, you had to send your money in. At one point, you got paper receipt for the shares that you held. At one point, you had to talk to a broker over the phone, pay big commissions, and not be as in tune as we are right now. So this is a true blessing to see real-time price action and get real-time data, and to be able to go through a real-time earnings with the insiders, which will be here in just a little bit, in 17 minutes. So again, when we do talk about just feelings and emotions, many feel a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Many feel panic sometimes by the candlesticks that we see within the markets. But I consider all of this to be a true blessing, that we could even sit through all of this and see this in real time. And quantum computing, truly amazing technology, which is really set to change our futures. And quantum computing, just the next stage of computerization and the future of technology. Got in at 155, still holding. Greetings from the Netherlands. Greetings, my friend from Arizona. It's 6:22 out here in Dallas, Texas. Well, you got a little bit of time on me, my friend Two Wheels, but that's still early. It's so funny. You say you slept in. Well, you are still up at 6 o'clock, so that is still early. 7:22 in Ontario. Thank you to everybody, by the way, participating in the live strats or in the live chat. Earnings available already, right? Yes, Pira, CTAM, we did already go through the results. Again, they did slightly miss on Wall Street's expectations for revenue. They slightly beat for earnings per share, but again, we got the official earnings call, which is going to be here in about 15 minutes. Again, what looks great for QBTS is their customer bookings, their customer acquisition, and right now under this major level of price magnetism at $25. Give me just a second, guys. I will be right back. I'm just going to get a drink of water, so I'm going to go grab my water, but stick with me. I will be right back in just one moment. Water and coffee. You can't beat it, right? Water, coffee, and waking up early. I really do love waking up early. This is so much fun, guys. I woke up at like 3:30 today. I was like dead, one eye open, but I planned to do this live stream. What's great is when I open it up, I already saw 8 of you waiting. So incredible the type of support that we have gotten this morning. And then, also it's 4:22 out in San Fernando, California. Awesome again to have you here, Chrisan. Great to see that you also woke up early again. Chrysanthemum, Two Wheels Pursuit for both of you here, or any of the other longtime subscribers that may be here that I haven't mentioned. Again, thank you guys so much for your support. Once again, I truly love doing this, but if I was talking to nobody, if there was nobody here for this earnings call, I don't know if I would be here. So it's great to have an audience and a community, and it's all of your support that helps to keep me here motivated and doing this. Again, I'll also have a daily talk of stock video. So if you guys want to see a video at the end of the day, I do the daily talk of stock every single day. We talk about what we saw in the markets, and outside of QBTS, we do have a lot to talk about by the end of the day, including the CPI reports that we will get just 30 minutes after the QBTS D-Wave Quantum earnings does start. Now, it does look like right now we are seeing a bit more of a sell-off. Let's see if it does break through this level here at $24, or if we can find some type of support. Again, in terms of expected moves, again, we have a lot of calls right around $25. So I would not be surprised if the options, if the dealers want to see a lot of weekly OPEX pain, what is considered max pain, where you do see a lot of contracts expire worthless. But again, that almost sounds bearish when I say that. Again, these are just some price levels we can drop to. So far, we are still in the green here in pre-market. And if Alan Baratz and the insiders at QBTS do say something positive, we do break through $25, we could see a serious gamma squeeze within QBTS. And I want to see something positive here because I am in QBTS and the other quantum plays. And again, this sector does run in quite a bit of correlation. So if we do get some positive news from QBTS, some positive price action, we could see other positive price movements within the other stocks of Rigetti and also QUBT. So overall, exciting things. Again, we're going to get the official earnings here, the earnings call here in about looks like I muted my mic there. I was just saying, yes, we do got some things coming up. Is that in LA County? Yes, LA County. Nice. Record quarterly bookings of 33.4 million, up nearly 2,000% year over year. Quarter end cash position of 588 million, up 93% year over year. So yeah, their end cash position, again, great to see that this company has so much cash. And then this guy, he's scared, he's happy, his heart's broken, but he wants to go to the moon with some money bags. Again, right now, still technically in the green. Some might be panicking about this, but I am not too concerned. Even if we do drop a bit more, again, I am a long-term bull on quantum. And even though we are here for the earnings report, I am not necessarily looking at just the next candle. I have a vision here for all of 2026 with quantum computing. Overall, my sentiment on the markets, I am very bullish. I do expect for the new federal chairman to really start cranking that money printer. And again, we do have the grand old party and the midterms later this year. So there is a big incentive to see the markets push up. It's a good earnings. I believe it's a good earnings. It's not a great earnings. They did not beat on Wall Street's estimates, but sometimes Wall Street does set some lofty expectations. Again, in my opinion, still a decent quarterly 2.86 million for the revenue for Q1 of 2026. Not nearly as high as Q1 of 2025, but we got to also remember that they did sell a big supercomputer, a big quantum computer last year. And by the way, in 10 minutes, we are going to have this official earnings call here with D-Wave. So as the sun starts to come out here, we will see Alan Baratz talking to all of us here. Right now, we are getting to a position where we could slightly drop out of the green. So again, all of us have woken up early to possibly see some paint dry if things continue to go sideways, but we may get some face rip and rally type momentum if our boy Alan Baratz says some amazing things and we break through that level of resistance right at about 25. I have 20 acres of land out in the Antelope Valley. That sounds amazing. Oh my gosh, that sounds amazing. Thinking to donate. I have almost bought land out there many times. When are the earnings? Again, go back through the live stream. We've already seen what the actual earnings came in as, but we will get to the earnings call here in about 9 minutes. Revenue is a miss, but new customers, again, yes, in half an hour. Old man Trump puddle jumping to China. Wow, he looks like he's a beach boy. Get around. Trump gets around. You guys are so funny. Let's get the likes up. I agree. We got 43 here in the stream. I'm not sure how many likes we have, but if you haven't already hit the like button, listen to Chrysanthemum and do that. We could definitely use the support for this channel. And then propaganda, record bookings, and a strong cash position is sitting pretty. Again, yeah, 500 million in cash, quantum, and semiconductor in one sentence. I hope at least 25% of the stock tumbles today. This is what Ring Video says, so that I could dollar cost average will become insane. I bought at a high $16 a share. 15 would be insane if I could get in at 16. Forecast is 50. The 35.4 million in bookings are just contracts signed, not cash in the bank. D-Wave has a lumpy revenue cycle, meaning it could take years to actually recognize that money. A move to 30 would be insane. I agree. Don't forget, the legend Baratz just received another batch of shares to dump. Let's go, New York. I'm jealous, my friend. You're out in the East Coast. That means you're 3 hours ahead. That means it's almost 8 o'clock where you are at, sitting on 4,000 shares. That's a lot of shares. My question to you, I do a lot of options investing. That's why we look at the weekly option expiration levels, which again act as crazy levels of price magnetism. We got a bounce off of this level. Again, we got a lot of resistance around 25, and we may be setting up for a bullish reversal here. But with so many shares, DKAA, I would be curious, do you do any options investing? And then why are you going to even short in an uptrend? Again, I agree. The trend is your friend. I'm shorting the top, not the bottom. They reported a net loss. I don't understand how a quantum computing can grow. Well, if you don't understand, look up this right here. Go read this book. I can't recommend it enough. We were talking about it in yesterday's fun live stream and this morning. That is Michio Kaku and Quantum Supremacy. So check out that book. QBTS finishes lower today. We got a bear here in the chat. That does not bother me, though. Everybody is welcome to their own opinion. I not understand how pre can be 7% and now 0% so far. Well, you know, again, with gamma exposure, we haven't actually seen the markets open yet. A lot of dealers can be buying and selling, maybe not wanting to see us reach to those higher levels of 25. Give me just a second, guys. I will be right back once again, literally just one moment. Again, thus far, I'm actually optimistic about what we've seen. I'll be optimistic even if we do get a bomb in the earnings call and a drop further down. But the way this is setting up right now in terms of the RSI dropping and the MACD here for the day, I could see this being a big, strong, bullish reversal. Also, this may be a perfect scenario as we do have the CPI coming out just 30 minutes after our earnings call does start with D-Wave Quantum. So we could have a great scenario where we do see Alan Baratz and the insiders at QBTS saying tremendous things. We do see some positive price action, and then we do see positive price action across the entire markets. And again, in my opinion, today may be very bullish because today could be Taco Tuesday. Again, in my opinion, now never financial advice, just my opinion, I feel that the setup is almost obvious right now for Taco Tuesday because the ceasefire is apparently on life support. Right now, there is a lot of fear, uncertainty, and doubt about that. But I would say, well, that this is most likely just setting up for a taco, talking about tacos, the president not talking about tacos, but instead he's talking about pizza. He's talking about burgers. He also just put this Truth Social post out, the $100 bill with President Trump on it. That would piss off a lot of people, talking about the ships being sunk out once again. And then the Democrats love sewage. That is a gross picture right there. He's put out a lot of Truth Social posts here in the last couple of minutes. No Republican has ever spoken to me about Cuba, which is a failed country and only heading in one direction, down. That's what that one bear hit here in the chat wants to see. He wants to see QBTS go down, but the majority of us want to see QBTS go up. What's positive right now is, again, we did have a little bit of a sell-off with the initial earnings report, but it does look like the markets are shaking that off right now. Or I mean the markets, I say the markets, QBTS shaking that off right now. I do believe this could be a positive if we do see QBTS come in here in this earnings report and say some positive things. If we see Alan Bratz or the other legends, we could see a break above that $25 mark. And again, I'm amazed. We have 60 here in the live chat. So thank you to everybody who is here. If this is your first time being here, please hit that subscribe button. We are a growing channel here on YouTube. So currently here on Green Money Momentum, we are on the journey to 3,000 subscribers. We work so hard on this channel. We do daily uploads. So we talk every single day about the macros, everything that is happening with the economy. We also talk about different individual stocks. My main forte, what I mainly focus on, is technology, AI, quantum, and the small caps, where a lot of speculation lies, because there is a lot of price action with technology, especially when things really start to get cranking. So this is my favorite sector right here. It's easy to move in the nighttime. We are moving into a range where Baratz likes to pull the trigger. Yes, let's see which trigger he pulls, whether it's price action to the upside or downside. Now that the results are out, he is allowed to sell his shares again. He made a killing doing exactly that last year. Well, we got to also remember with the insiders, if he has already done that, it's not just like us where we can just buy shares and sell shares really easy. He has to actually put out a filing for this. He has to file to sell his shares. So if he has already done that, well, maybe he will want to dump QBTS. But again, I'm very bullish on quantum, and I know you're making it sound out like they are bearish here. Again, he could be selling some shares, but overall, I mean, those reports haven't been put out yet. So just a thought here. I hold for months too, so whatever happens today won't change my holdings. Yeah, I'm never looking at just the next candlestick mentality. Now, I do like to participate in some day trading. Again, I look at the daily movements within the stock market. It's very exciting to see positive price movement in our stocks, right? Like, I would love to see with this earnings report for a squeeze. Again, we might be setting up for a bullish reversal here. But again, if we do just get flat movements or even red today, I'm really not concerned. I have some long-term positions with QBTS, with some leverage, with some options contracts. And then, hey, I think app is interesting. What do you think? App 11, I know what you're talking about. You know, if I got to this a bit earlier, I would do an analysis on app, but we are about to go through this report. So they are still playing the music. Beautiful music, by the way. The 93% increase in cash to 588 million didn't come from a profitable business. This is again the bear speaking. Everybody, again, he is welcome to have his opinion. It was largely a result of the Quantum Circuits acquisition and internal restructuring. They will be talking about that. All your positions are green. We're going through the chat here, and then it looks like we have another first-time viewer here, Stanny. So, by the way, and then about to post your link in my chat on platform. Hey, my friend, thank you so much. Yes, if you could share this channel, I greatly appreciate it. We are about to go through this live earnings here, and then, bro, stop talking and ready what's in the chat. People got things to say. A lot of big dates coming, and then let's see if we got the official earnings here. It is 5 o'clock, so I'm going to be quiet here in a second. I want to make sure to get audio for you guys. We're about to get the insider call again. It's super exciting times, and so we will officially get this earnings kicking off here in just a minute. Thank you to everyone who's here. Thank you for saying that you will post the link in your platform. That is exciting, my friend. And then let's see. Any minute now. Drop in the comment section. Are you bullish or are you bearish for this earnings call? Do you think that we are going to get positive news from Alan Baratz and the other legends at D-Wave? Or do you think that we are going to see a sell-off? Let me know. Any minute now. Good luck. Again, I'm having so much fun this morning. By the way, let me stop the audio for a second. They're making us wait, making us wait for a second. But again, I'm having so much fun. To all of you who are participating, I greatly appreciate every single one of you. I had to wake up at 3 a.m. For today, but we are dedicated to doing this. So all of you woke up early as well. Well, some of you are in other countries, but for everyone who is here, again, I appreciate your support for this channel. Any minute now, we are going to get the earnings call, but we are a minute late for this, so they are making us wait here. Maybe Alan Bratz is cooking up something very bullish that he wants to tell everybody.
Good morning and welcome to the D-Wave First Quarter 2026 earnings call. All participants will be in listen-only mode. Should you need assistance, please signal a conference specialist by pressing the star key followed by 0. After today's presentation, there will be an opportunity to ask questions. To ask a question, you may press star then 1 on a touch-tone phone. To withdraw your question, please press star then 2. Please note this event is being recorded. I would now like to turn the conference over to Kevin Hunt, Investor Relations. Please go ahead.
Thank you and good morning. With me today are Dr. Alan Baratz, our Chief Executive Officer, and John Markovich, our Chief Financial Officer. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that this call will contain forward-looking statements which are subject to risks and uncertainties and should be considered in conjunction with cautionary statements contained in our earnings release and the company's most recent periodic SEC reports. Both an on-demand webcast and a transcript of the conference call will be available on the Investor Relations section of the website within 48 hours after the call. During today's call, management will provide certain information that will constitute non-GAAP financial measures under SEC rules, such as adjusted EBITDA loss and non-GAAP adjusted operating expenses, and operating metrics such as bookings. Reconciliations to GAAP financial measures and certain additional information are also included in today's earnings release, which is available in the Investor Relations section of our company website at ir.dwavequantum.com. This morning, we will be limited to taking one question from each analyst during the first round of questions, and then, time permitting, proceed to a second round of questions where, again, we will have to limit each analyst to just one question. I'll now hand over the call to Alan.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I want to begin by sharing a few perspectives on the quantum computing landscape. As Linus Torvalds, the creator of Linux, once said, "Talk is cheap, show me the code." That idea feels especially relevant in quantum computing today as excitement rises, competition increases, and investors are looking for proof, not just promise. As quantum computing attracts increasing investor attention, the sector is generating significant excitement, but also significant noise. New entrants, new public listings, and ambitious, and some might argue very overstated technology and product claims are drawing attention. In this environment, it is more important than ever to distinguish hype from execution. As the field grows more crowded, the conversation is shifting from who is participating to who is positioned to deliver. Customers are looking for technology that can give them a competitive edge today. Researchers want cutting-edge tools that can accelerate discoveries now. And investors are working diligently to separate signal from noise in a sector that can sometimes generate more headlines than evidence or results. As the CEO of one of the world's first and leading quantum computing companies, I believe that it is important to help educate the market on the realities of quantum computing's true near-term capabilities and commercial traction, as well as the strengths and trade-offs of the different quantum computing modalities as this market continues to take shape. Let me be direct. Many still view D-Wave through an outdated lens, but I think it's time for a vision check. We believe we are the clear leader in quantum computing today, a market that Boston Consulting Group, BCG, projects to be in excess of $800 billion. A full 1/4 of that market is optimization, which is uniquely addressed by annealing quantum computing, where we are the only player. This is not a niche technology or market, as some like to characterize it. It is estimated by BCG to be a whopping 100 billion to 220 billion opportunity. For comparison, that's as big as either the global semiconductor equipment market or the global cybersecurity market. For those who say that D-Wave is addressing a niche market, stop spreading competitive misinformation and start doing your homework. Do you think that the global semiconductor equipment and cybersecurity markets are niche? I don't. What's more, D-Wave is now also a leading player in gate model quantum computing through our acquisition of Quantum Circuits in January of this year. This means that we are the only company in the world that can participate in the full addressable market for quantum computing with both annealing and gate model quantum computers. We are building a highly differentiated, pure play quantum computing company with proven commercial traction today. For those valuing us on only our annealing technology and products, I would say you're off by a factor of 2. Our unique market position reflects our rapidly advancing gate model progress, which has greatly accelerated given Quantum Circuits' industry-first dual-rail qubit technology. It is imperative that you all understand the profound potential that this has on our business and ensure that the models you're using to evaluate the company take into account this newly acquired technology. With dual-rail qubits built-in error detection, we believe that our gate model quantum computing systems will set a new standard on quantum performance, efficiency, and scalability. Our dual-rail gate model technology is a meaningful differentiator for D-Wave and, in our view, one of the most important developments in quantum computing today. It brings together superconducting speed, the fidelity associated with ion traps and neutral atoms, and a clear path to scale with our proprietary on-chip cryogenic control technology, a combination that the market should be paying much closer attention to. This combination is a revolutionary approach to the development of a gate model quantum computer. Trapped ions or neutral atoms are like a bicycle. They're simple, reliable, and efficient, but very slow. Superconducting is like a piston propeller airplane, much more complicated and far less reliable, but much faster. In fact, there was recent research from Google and then separately from John Fresco at Caltech and Oratomic that brings this to life. The Google team showed a way to break the Bitcoin protocol with 500,000 superconducting qubits. Then the Fresco team showed how you could do it with only 10,000 neutral atom qubits, much more efficient. But what wasn't highlighted was that the Google computation would take about 9 minutes on a superconducting quantum computer. This computation would take many months on a neutral atom quantum computer. At that speed, they really aren't breaking the Bitcoin protocol. But this demonstrates the point that superconducting is much faster, actually 1,000 times faster, but less efficient, requiring more physical qubits to error correct. Well, D-Wave's dual-rail qubits provide the best of both worlds. Again, the best of both worlds. Think a jet airplane. Still much faster than trapped ions or neutral atoms, but much more reliable and efficient than that old piston airplane. You get the speed of superconducting with the efficiency of ions or atoms. This is truly revolutionary. And the implications are significant. More reliable computation, more efficient error correction, and a potentially faster, lower overhead path to building useful quantum systems. With built-in erasure detection, these qubits can identify roughly 90% of errors as they occur, with an observed erasure rate of just 0.5%. We have also demonstrated greater than 99.9% fidelities while reducing the number of physical qubits needed for a logical qubit by up to an order of magnitude. Our advantage becomes even stronger when dual rail is combined with D-Wave's proprietary on-chip cryogenic control. This gives us a path to significantly reduce the wiring required to control large numbers of qubits and ultimately enables full qubit control at scale with multiple orders of magnitude fewer control lines than competing superconducting gate model systems. Any technology that doesn't solve this issue will not achieve utility because it can't feasibly control without requiring football field-sized installations. The combination of speed, fidelity, and scalability is what makes this such an important development. It is not just better qubit design. It is a more scalable system architecture, which is why you should see dual rail technology as a clear competitive advantage for D-Wave. I'm excited to share with you today more visibility into our gate model roadmap. We are targeting our dual rail gate model roadmap to extend to 100 logical qubits by the end of 2032. By the end of 2028, we plan to have approximately 175 physical qubits, which will allow us to demonstrate our quantum error correction technology as well as logical operations. Beyond this, the integration with D-Wave's scalable control is expected to take us to 10 logical qubits by 2030, followed by 100 logical qubits 2 years later. This acceleration in our roadmap is based upon the unique opportunity provided by the recent merging of quantum circuits expertise in engineering high coherence superconducting quantum devices with D-Wave's extensive toolbox for scaling superconducting quantum processors. With 100 logical qubits, we expect D-Wave to capture as much of the gate model market as any other gate model quantum computing company. There's something else that investors need to see more clearly about roadmaps in this industry. You've seen companies revise timelines, change milestone frameworks, and move the goalposts as the technical realities and complexities of scaling become clearer. We couldn't be more different. The roadmap we're sharing is built on demonstrated technology, known engineering pathways, and milestones that we believe are achievable with a high degree of confidence. We are not publishing dates for effect. We'll provide more detail on our product roadmap and how it compares to other gate model quantum computing modalities like neutral atoms, trapped ions, and photonics at our upcoming Investor Day on June 1st at the NYSE and online, and we encourage you to attend. Our category leadership position is further solidified by our dominance in annealing quantum computing, clearly a foundational strength for the company. This is grounded in a long track record of innovation and product delivery across 6 generations of systems. Our annealing quantum computers are being deployed today in real customer problems. They are trusted by some of the world's largest companies across manufacturing, aerospace, healthcare, telecommunications, and other sectors, as well as by leading scientific researchers using our systems to accelerate discovery. This is real work driving real value right now. Beyond optimization, we're very excited by what we're seeing in the area of blockchain. We recently collaborated with Post-Quant Labs on the development and launch of its quantum classical blockchain testnet, which is now live. The testnet is designed to support the development of a global quantum blockchain standard and to assess how quantum computing could contribute to a more secure and energy-efficient blockchain in a distributed network. More than 18,500 people have signed up to participate in the testnet. It currently includes more than 1,600 nodes, one of which is D-Wave's Advantage2 annealing quantum computer, with the rest made up of CPUs and GPUs. Our Advantage2 QPU is currently outperforming the classical nodes and winning the majority of the blocks. Together with Post-Quant Labs, we are launching a detailed benchmarking study to further quantify the advantage. We're also seeing promising work in the area of quantum AI and machine learning. Shionogi, a Japan-based pharmaceutical company, is working on a multi-stage progress project that applies AI to drug discovery, where identifying drug-like molecules with the right activity, chemical properties, and synthetic accessibility is extremely challenging, particularly for classical machine learning methods. The work is focused on using D-Wave's annealing quantum computers as part of the large language model training process, with the second phase of the project delivering a 10-fold increase in the number of desirable molecules compared with the results generated using a classical machine learning algorithm. Shionogi is now moving into the next phase of the project with the ultimate goal of real-world adoption. We believe that these early results, along with emerging work by other customers exploring quantum computing to improve AI performance, position D-Wave as an important first mover at the intersection of quantum and AI. Together, these examples show that annealing quantum computing is expanding commercially, opening new application areas, and continuing to demonstrate real-world value today. Not only can our annealing quantum computers uniquely address the significant and important optimization market, we are close to being able to demonstrate their value in AI and blockchain. We continue to expand the capabilities of our annealing quantum computers. We recently published research outlining powerful new multicolor annealing protocols that enable some gate model operations within our commercial Advantage2 systems. We also launched these features with key customers to enable them to perform fundamental research in quantum simulation. These protocols enable researchers to use D-Wave's annealing QPU to model quantum systems and explore fundamentally new behavior that can be extremely difficult, if not impossible, to study with classical techniques. On our last quarterly earnings call, I said that 2025 was an inflection point for D-Wave, and our results continue to support that view. Last year marked a period of clear technical progress and accelerating commercial momentum, including a triple-digit increase in our sales pipeline that continued to expand through the first quarter. Today, that momentum is translating into measurable business outcomes. As discussed, in January alone, we signed 2 landmark agreements, a $20 million system sale to Florida Atlantic University and the industry's first $10 million enterprise license quantum computing as a service deal. We have previously covered those transactions, so I won't repeat the details here, but I will emphasize their impact as they help to drive record first quarter bookings. During the first quarter, we closed bookings of $33.4 million, a nearly 2,000% increase over Q1 bookings a year ago, and up 149% from the very strong bookings in the fourth quarter of 2025. With regard to system sales, I also want to point out that while I originally shared with you that we expect to sell 1 system per year, the pipeline is much stronger. We're now expecting 2 or 3 system deals per year, with expected delivery of at least 2 systems this year in 2026. Before I hand the call over to John to provide deeper details on our first quarter results, there are 5 key points that I want you to keep in mind about what makes D-Wave different. First, D-Wave is the only dual platform quantum computing company. We are developing both annealing and gate model quantum computing systems, which we believe uniquely positions us to participate in the full addressable quantum computing market over time. Second, annealing quantum computing is better suited for optimization than gate model quantum computing. By its nature, it is uniquely built to solve optimization problems, an area that represents a significant share of the overall quantum computing opportunity, and one where D-Wave is exceptionally well positioned to lead. Third, our customers are using our annealing quantum computing systems in production right now. They're solving hard computational problems that directly affect operations. This is not experimentation. It is commercial deployment by several Forbes Global 2000 companies. Fourth, D-Wave is the first company to solve a hard computational problem beyond classical computing's reach on a real-world useful problem, evidenced by our quantum supremacy results published in Science last March. And fifth, Our dual-rail gate model technology changes the game. It combines superconducting speed, high-performance fidelity, and a clear path to scale in a way we believe is highly differentiated. It is increasingly clear that the winners in quantum will be the companies that combine technical differentiation, commercial proof, and the ability to execute at scale. We believe D-Wave is one of those companies, and our first quarter results, along with our momentum in the second quarter, reinforce that position. With that, I'll turn it over to John.
Thank you, Alan, and thank you to everyone taking the time to participate in today's call. Revenue in the first quarter of 2026 was $2.9 million, a decrease of $12.1 million or 81% from the first quarter of 2025 revenue of $15 million that included $12.6 million in revenue from the first sale of a D-Wave annealing quantum computer system. For the first quarter of 2026, D-Wave recognized revenue from over 100 individual customers, over 50% of which were commercial enterprises, with commercial revenue constituting over 73% of the $2.9 million in quarterly revenue. From a product perspective, Q1 revenue was comprised of $1.8 million in QCAS subscription revenue that increased by nearly 15% on a year-over-year basis, and $1 million in professional services revenue that increased by over 26% on a year-over-year basis. For the first quarter, 100% of D-Wave's revenue was derived from selling, providing access to, or providing services for quantum computing systems, not other revenue that has the word quantum attached to it, such as quantum sensing or quantum networking. Bookings for the first quarter were $33.4 million, an increase of $31.8 million or 1,994% when compared to the 2025 first quarter bookings of $1.6 million, and an increase of $20 million or 149% when compared with the immediately preceding 2025 fourth quarter bookings of $13.4 million. Over 24 commercial customers comprised over 31% of the first quarter bookings, with the balance of the bookings from educational and research organizations, the largest of which was the $20 million system sale to Florida Atlantic University. During the first quarter of 2026, the dollar value of our sales opportunity pipeline more than doubled over the dollar value of the sales opportunity pipeline as of the end of the immediately preceding fourth quarter of 2025, while the average potential deal size more than doubled over the same period. GAAP gross profit for the first quarter was $1.8 million, a decrease of $12.1 million, or 87% from the 2025 first quarter GAAP gross profit of $13.9 million that was heavily influenced by the aforementioned system sale in the first quarter of last year. GAAP gross margin for the first quarter was 63.6%, a decrease of 29% from the 2025 first quarter GAAP gross margin of 92.5% that again was heavily influenced by the aforementioned system sale in the first quarter of last year. First quarter GAAP operating expenses totaled $56.5 million, an increase of $31.3 million or 125% from GAAP operating expenses of $25.2 million for the 2025 first quarter, with the increase primarily driven by $9.1 million of non-recurring costs related to the acquisition of Quantum Circuits, an increase of $8.6 million in salaries and related personnel costs, 80% of which relates to increases in sales and marketing and research and development personnel, including Quantum Circuits operating expenses subsequent to the closing of the transaction in January, and $7.4 million in non-cash expenses, including $4 million in stock-based comp and $3.4 million in depreciation and amortization expenses. These increased operating expenses stem from investments to support the company's accelerated product development and go-to-market initiatives, as well as Quantum Circuits. Non-GAAP adjusted operating expenses were $34.8 million, $21.7 million lower than the GAAP operating expenses, with the non-GAAP adjusted operating expenses increasing by $14.6 million or 73% over the year earlier non-GAAP adjusted operating expenses of $20.2 million, with the difference between GAAP and non-GAAP operating expenses primarily being non-cash stock-based comp, non-cash depreciation and amortization expenses, and non-recurring one-time expenses, such as the $9.1 million in non-recurring costs associated with the Quantum Circuits acquisition that are excluded from the non-GAAP adjusted operating expenses. Net loss for the first quarter was $18.4 million, or 5 cents per share, compared with a net loss of $5.4 million, or 2 cents per share in the first quarter of 2025, with the increase due to higher operating expenses primarily associated with our increased investment in our R&D and sales and marketing organizations, and lower gross profit given the high gross profit associated with last year's sale of an annealing quantum computer. This was partially offset by the increase in income tax benefit of $28.5 million that was derived from the January 20th acquisition of Quantum Circuits. Adjusted EBITDA loss for the first quarter was $32.8 million, an increase of $26.7 million from the 2025 first quarter adjusted EBITDA loss of $6.1 million, with the increase due primarily to higher operating expenses and lower gross profit. Now I will address the balance sheet and liquidity. As of March 31st, D-Wave's consolidated cash balance in marketable investment securities totaled $588.4 million, an increase of $284.1 million, or 93%, from the 2025 first quarter consolidated cash balance of $304.3 million. During the first quarter, we invested $250 million in cash in conjunction with the acquisition of Quantum Circuits, and we believe that our remaining liquidity is sufficient to support a fully funded plan to profitability. Subsequent to the 2025 fourth quarter earnings call that was held on February 26th, I've received a number of questions on revenue recognition that I touched on during our fourth quarter earnings call that I will reiterate here, specifically as it relates to system sales. These transactions involve a number of steps before the systems are fully operational, including site preparation, delivery, installation, calibration, and other key steps that are likely to encompass multiple months and possibly quarters, depending upon the unique elements of a particular system transaction. While we will recognize a significant portion of revenue upon the physical delivery of the system, we will recognize a smaller portion over time prior to delivery as installation and calibration progress, since these activities are essential for customers to begin using our systems. This is the general pattern we expect, but each system sale may have unique characteristics that may cause the revenue recognition pattern to vary somewhat. In addition, we anticipate that most system sales transactions will involve one or two multi-year revenue components, including a service and maintenance contract and access to our Leap cloud service. In conjunction with touching on the topic of revenue recognition, we thought it would be helpful to highlight the recent progression of our remaining performance obligations, or as some would refer to this metric as RPOs or backlog. As of March 31st, the aggregate amount of remaining performance obligations that were unsatisfied or partially unsatisfied related to customer contracts totaled $42.4 million. That represents a $36 million or 563% increase over the first quarter of 2025 RPO balance of $6.4 million, and a $29 million or 216% increase over the immediately fourth quarter 2025 RPO balance of $13.4 million. Approximately 54% of the $42.4 million first quarter RPO balance is expected to be recognized as revenue in the next 12 months, and 71% is expected to be recognized as revenue in the next 2 years, with the remainder to be recognized as revenue thereafter. Revenue allocated to remaining performance obligations represents the transaction price of non-cancelable orders for which service has not been performed, which includes deferred revenue and the amounts that will be invoiced and recognized as revenue in future periods from open contracts, and excludes unexercised renewals. The same information is also included in our Form 10-Q. While we are continuing our practice of not providing specific forward financial guidance, given the revenue recognition associated with systems transactions, in combination with the remaining performance obligations and the sales pipeline, I want to provide some directional parameters on revenue over the balance of this year. The 2026 second quarter is likely to be up modestly from the first quarter, with a substantial portion of the year's revenue recognized in the second half of the year. In conclusion, as we have previously stated, we continue to believe that D-Wave has the opportunity to be the first independent, publicly held quantum computing company to achieve sustained profitability and to achieve this milestone with substantially less funding than required by any other independent, publicly held quantum computing company. With that, operator, please open the call for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Markovich. We will now proceed to Q&A. To ask a question, you may press star then one on your telephone keypad. If you're using a speakerphone, please pick up your handset before pressing the keys. Please limit yourself to one question, and if there is time, you may re-queue for a second question. If at any time your question has been addressed and you would like to withdraw your question, please press star then two. At this time, we will pause momentarily to assemble our roster. The first question comes from Quinn Bolton with Needham. Please go ahead.
Hey, this is Shadi Milwali on for Quinn. Thanks for taking our questions and congrats on the increased system sales outlook. I guess staying on that topic, what's driving your confidence in being able to secure 2 to 3 system sales a year? And how do you view the split between annealing and gate model going forward? Thank you.
Sure. So as both John and I indicated, our pipeline has significantly increased over the course of the last year, and we are well down the path of negotiating system deals with multiple customers, none of which has been communicated to date. So, with the Florida Atlantic University sale this year and the progress that we're making on several other system deals, I have a very high degree of confidence that we'll see 2 or 3 sales this year. And as I said, a very high degree of confidence that we will actually deliver 2 of them this year.
The next question comes from John McPeake with Rosenblatt Securities. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks, Alan, John, and Kevin. Congrats on the bookings and RPO number. Pretty impressive. So a question on the roadmap here. By the end of 2032, we have 100 logical qubits. Could you give us a sense as to what you're targeting for 2-qubit gate fidelities out there? And I have the same question about the 10 logical qubits in 2030.
Yeah. So first of all, we're already at 99.9% fidelity, but that's on a very small system, admittedly. One of the things that we believe the dual rail qubits are going to do is put us on a much steeper path to improving fidelities. In particular, the Google Willow work was quite impressive, but we believe that with our dual rail technology, we'll be able to improve upon that by about 5 times. And so, we're looking at very high qubit and 2-qubit gate fidelities.
The next question comes from Antoine Legault with Wedbush Securities. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my question, and congrats on the momentum so far this year. You've effectively been the sole player in quantum annealing, for over a decade. As the addressable market for optimization grows, and Alan, you've cited some pretty significant figures in terms of addressable market, and as annealing's commercial viability becomes more established, do you expect to see more entrants, whether it's from other established gate-based players pivoting towards hybrid approaches, or others move into the space? Like, how should we think about the competitive landscape going forward?
Yeah. So first of all, I do want to point out that the numbers I quoted for optimization are the Boston Consulting Group numbers. So this is the data that most people in the quantum industry are using and focused on with respect to the total addressable market, and the 100 to 220 billion number comes from Boston Consulting Group for optimization. Second, actually, we're already starting to see others working on annealing systems, very small at this point in time, 2, 3, 4 qubit systems. We're also seeing some gate model companies starting to look at running annealing type protocols within their gate model systems. Sometimes you'll hear a gate model company say they've done some analog computing within their gate model system. Part of the reason for looking at this is that, as we've talked about in the past, annealing is far less sensitive to errors and doesn't require error correction to give good results. But the problem with that is there's a lot of overhead associated with trying to run annealing protocols within gate model systems, and they'll never be as fast or never be able to solve problems as large as what you can solve on a native annealing quantum computer. So yes, there is increasing interest in the annealing approach to quantum computing. There are some early activities underway with respect to building annealing quantum computers, and there is some work going on with respect to trying to perform annealing within gate model systems. But none of that represents a real threat to the advantage that we have in annealing quantum computing. We continue to believe that D-Wave is and will always be the leader in that portion of the market.
The next question comes from Joe McCormick with Evercore. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi guys. Congrats on the quarter, and thanks for letting me ask a question. Maybe just as you've seen the pipeline progress and expectations for the aperture to start widening as it relates to system deliveries moving forward here, can you double click on that and talk through the appetite for on-prem systems for governments and academic research versus commercial, maybe to the extent that you found there's greater openness on the commercial side of things as well over the next couple of years to taking annealing systems on site.
Yeah. So if I were going to guess at what we're likely going to see this year, I think when I talk about 2 or 3 system sales this year, I think that we're likely to see 1 in the commercial arena and the others more in the research and academic arena. So I think we're still in an environment where the system sales are more oriented toward deeper research investigations, where you need control over more of the operating parameters of the system than what's required if you're just trying to run a commercial application. But the reason why I say I think we may see 1 commercial purchase of an annealing quantum computer is because I think, at least in the blockchain and AI arena, we may see commercial organizations with an interest in doing some research into how these systems ultimately will be able to benefit AI and or blockchain. So, mostly still research and academically oriented, still purchasing systems to be able to control more of the operating parameters that you can't control when you're running on a cloud-based service, but possibly one commercial sale this year, in a emerging application area where there's some research to be done that will require more control over the parameters of the system. Now, I think that what is likely the potential to change in a significant way system sale purchase from research and academic to commercial is if we're successful with the work that we're doing on blockchain and AI. I think that those two areas could potentially be very transformative to D-Wave with respect to significant commercial sales of systems in support of those application areas. But we're not there yet. We're making good progress. I've talked about this in the past. I think the launch of the testnet with PostQuant Labs for a new quantum blockchain, quantum classical blockchain environment is a really good next step. And we're hopeful with respect to what we will see coming out of that work and, potentially validating the application opportunity for our systems in that arena, but we're not quite there yet. I also think that not only the work we're doing with Shinogi on AI, but some other companies where we're now doing very similar work to what we've done with Shinogi could potentially help with that transition in AI as well. But in both of those cases, we're not quite there yet, but making good progress.
The next question comes from Craig Ellis with B. Riley Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for taking the question and congratulations on upping the system shipment outlook, guys. I wanted to ask a question on the nice detail you provided with QCI roadmap. The question is this: what are you hearing from your 100 commercial customers on where they want to engage with that roadmap system capabilities? Is it at the 2028 level, 2030, 2032 level? And to what extent are you seeing QCI start to be additive to your potential customer base? Thank you.
Yeah, sure, Craig. So we actually have a handful of customers that have expressed interest in the gate model system today. A couple have expressed interest in acquiring a gate model system, and a few accessing it over the cloud. We are working on moving the tools into our lead cloud service, integrating them with our Ocean SDK, and we are working on moving the actual hardware into the lead cloud service as well for cloud-based access to the system. We're also working on hardening the systems so that we could support sales of a gate model system, premise-based installations of a gate model system. There's an understanding of the fact that the current system that we have operational is only 8 qubits, but as we said in the past, we expect to have 17 qubits operational before the end of this year. And honestly, for both the cloud-based access and premise installation, there's interest in either the 8 or the 17 qubit system. In other words, we're not hearing, come back to us when you've got a 49 or, 175 qubit system. We're interested in getting our hands on these things now. So, I think we may start to see some preliminary sales this year, but more likely into 2027.
The next question comes from Krish Sankar with TD Cowen and Company. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, thanks for taking my question. Another two-part question. John, can you give some color on the composition of the backlog of the RPO? How much is commercial, et cetera? And Alan, thanks for the color on the commercial adoption. I'm curious, like some of these research academic sales that you're doing, are these for niche R&D projects, or can some of those lessons learned be ported over to accelerate commercial adoption? Thank you.
So John,
Sure,
to be fair to everybody, you go ahead and answer the first question, and we'll have to defer the second question because we did say only one question per.
Sure. So with respect to the makeup of the backlog, so we have 20 million of that is the system sale to FAU, and then we also have a very significant portion of the commercial enterprise SaaS deal that we did. So that backlog is roughly 50-50 between commercial and research.
And Chris, feel free to get back in the queue for the second question.
The next question comes from Tyler Anderson with Craig-Hallum. Please go ahead.
Hi, everyone. This is Tyler on for Richard Shannon. Have you gotten your hands on any of your multi-chip processors? And if so, what's the initial read and learnings from those? And any comment on coherence time would be helpful. If you haven't, just any timeline you would expect to would be great. Thank you.
Okay, so are you talking about our annealing multi-chip processor?
Either one of them. Whatever you have already going on. Thank you.
Yeah, so there are two things that we are working on for the multi-chip processors. And we've talked about it in the past. We are making good progress. One is obviously the bonding process between the processor chips, and the other is scalable I/O. We are quite unique in the superconducting quantum computing arena in that we're controlling 4,000 qubits with 200 I/O lines versus everybody else who requires 3 to 5 I/O lines per qubit, and that's due to our on-chip cryogenic control capability. However, as we are scaling from 4,000 annealing qubits to ultimately, and for Advantage 3, 100,000 annealing qubits, that I/O needs to change. The architecture needs to be a bit more scalable than it is currently. And so we now have masks and chips back that represent both the interconnecting of the processors as well as the new scalable I/O architecture. And so we're about to begin testing of those chips. So this is very much an R&D work in process. We're making good progress. We've defined the new scalable I/O architecture. We've created the initial masks to build out that capability. We've got early prototype chips back that we're going to begin testing. And we're in a similar position on the processor, the bonding of the processor chips.
The next question comes from Ruben Roy with Stifel. Please go ahead.
Thank you, John. Thanks. I wonder if you could maybe rough idea on the split on between sort of how to think about upfront revenue, installation, calibration, et cetera, versus multi-year service. And just to add on to that is on the RPO, CRPO for 12 months, I assume some includes some of the used system installation. Is that correct? Thank you.
Ruben, I caught about half of what you said. You're cutting in and out. Can you repeat?
Yeah, sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I was just asking on the FAU system sale, if you can give us a rough idea on the split between initial installation versus sort of multi-year service and additional components to that sale. And then can you tell us about the CRPO? So the 12-month RPO, does that include some of the system sale to FAU? Thank you.
Question. The answer to your second question is yes, the RPO includes FAU, and I cannot provide you a detail on the elements of the rev rec on that system yet.
The next question comes from Troy Jensen with Cantor Fitzgerald. And a reminder, to ask a question, please press star, then one. Please go ahead, Mr. Jensen.
All right, gentlemen, congrats on the great bookings and the momentum here. Just for you, Alan, I'd like to hear your thoughts on the NVIDIA announcement. The icing, is this less important to D-Wave given the dual rail technology you guys have and obviously better fidelity, so less need for error correction?
Yeah, so first of all, I do want to comment on their use of the term icing. Annealing quantum computing is basically based on the icing Hamiltonian. And so, typically when we talk about programming the annealing quantum computer for the technical folks, we talk about converting your problem either into a QBO, a quadratic unconstrained binary optimization problem, or an icing model problem. The two are equivalent. One is computer science speak, the other is physicist speak. However, the announcement from NVIDIA with use of the term icing has absolutely nothing to do with the icing Hamiltonian or the icing programming model for annealing-based quantum computers. I'm not entirely sure why they picked that name. But basically, the work that they are focused on with respect to leveraging GPU technology to aid in error correction is important work. I mean, there is a significant classical component to error correction. This is something that a lot of people don't really think much about or focus on. And in fact, it is one of the things that really makes solving optimization problems on gate model systems very inefficient. That classical overhead associated with error correction eats up pretty much all of the benefit of solving the optimization problem on a gate model system, whereas annealing quantum computers don't have that issue. But nonetheless, there is a significant classical component to error correction. GPUs are an important component of the computing. Is absolutely relevant. That having been said, error correction on a dual rail processor is quite different from error correction on kind of, standard older technology qubits. The error correction is far more sophisticated and far more efficient. GPUs are still going to be important, but the computation will be done in a slightly different way. And so, the work that NVIDIA is doing is relevant, but not quite as directly applicable to us in our dual rail technology, there's modification that will be required.
The next question is a follow-up from Joe McCormick with Evercore. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for letting me ask a follow-up. Quick one for John. Maybe John, can you explain the deferred revenues dynamics? Because I think you had mentioned it's included in the RPO and it stepped up a little bit, and I believe that was kind of related to quantum circuits, but maybe just to hear kind of the step up there on deferred revs and how to think about kind of the evolution of deferred revs and how it'll impact your backlog moving forward as well.
Well, deferred revenue is one of the components of the RPO number, but I can't provide that to you in terms of specific accounts, but it is one of the components of the $43 million in backlog.
And we have a follow-up from Krish Sankar with TD Cowen. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi, thanks for taking the follow-up. Alan, I had a question for you. Your research academic sales, are these for niche R&D projects, or do you think lessons learned there can actually be imparted to advancing commercial adoption faster?
Yeah. So some of the research that's going on is more pure science research. There's been some interesting work recently out of Google that was kind of pure science work. And, we've got researchers that are leveraging our systems similarly to do some pure scientific research, basically investigating, physics theories that up until now have not been demonstrated or, analytically validated. And so this is very important work, very interesting work, but not necessarily commercially application relevant. Then there's other work that is more commercially relevant. For example, last year we sold a system to the Jülich Supercomputing Center. That system was delivered and installed last year. It's in their hands now. They are interconnecting it to their Jupyter Exascale supercomputer, 25,000 NVIDIA GPU system, for work on optimization, new optimization and AI workflows. And so the work coming out of that will absolutely be commercially relevant. I think the work that we will see at Florida Atlantic University is also exploring more commercially relevant application areas. And so I think it's a mix.
And we have a follow-up from Tyler Anderson from Craig-Hallum. Please go ahead.
Hi, guys. Thanks for taking my follow-up. So with the blockchain application, is there anything specific about this blockchain that makes it amendable to your system? Are you able to address all proof of work protocols as well as proof of stake, or is there a subset? Just like to know what makes this work. Thank you.
So no, this is a new proof of work protocol that is by construction quantum safe. And if you're doing the mining on the quantum processor, we believe will be much more energy efficient. However, as I said, we are about to enter a benchmarking phase within the testnet to, really understand, the accuracy of the statement that I just made. So, for now, that statement about energy efficiency is a hypothesis, not a fact. And we are beginning the benchmarking work to validate or not that statement. But it is a new proof of work protocol. What makes the quantum computer able to win the majority of the blocks right now is that at its core, the proof of work is drawing samples from a distribution. And the quantum computer is very, very fast and very, very energy efficient at generating samples from a distribution. Whereas CPUs and GPUs have a much heavier lift and they're much slower. And so, if the proof of work requires you to generate multiple samples, in theory, it gives an edge and potentially a very significant edge to the quantum processor. So this is not about performing the existing proof of work computations. This is about a brand new proof of work computation that can be performed either classically or quantum. You can use CPUs, you can use GPUs, you can use the quantum processor, but it absolutely, in theory, gives a significant edge to the quantum processor. And if that holds up, then basically we would have an architecture that is quantum safe and much more energy efficient.
This concludes our question and answer session. I would like to turn the conference back over to Dr. Alan Baratz for any closing remarks.
Okay, so let me just close with this. The quantum computing shakeout is coming. The industry is moving from promise to proof and from experiments to evidence. We believe that D-Wave is exceptionally well positioned for that transition because we are already delivering results in the market today while continuing to build differentiated technology for the future. We are not trying to win a corner of quantum. We are building to win across the market. With annealing, we're driving commercial value now. With gate model, we believe we have a highly differentiated path to long-term leadership. And across both, we are making quantum computing easier for customers to adopt, easier to use, and easier to generate value. D-Wave is not waiting for the future of quantum computing. We are helping to define it now. So thanks again for joining us today, and we look forward to continuing the conversation at our Investor Day on June 1st. We'll see you there. Thank you.
The conference has now concluded. Thank you for attending today's presentation. You may now disconnect.
Thank you, Alan Baratz. Thank you, D-Wave Quantum. Thank you to my audience, everybody who has participated in the live stream today. Wow, such price action and movements we have seen thus far in QBTS. So far we started out the morning green. By the way, we started this live stream today, my time here in Arizona at 3:50 a.m. We are now at 6 o'clock. So we've been here for 2 hours. We got the official earnings release from D-Wave. In terms of Wall Street's expectations, they did not meet on those expectations. They do have a strong cash balance. The next big catalyst they mentioned will be on June 1st. The revenues look like they will increase the second half of the year. Their main focus is to have sustained profitability. And what's great compared to these other quantum computing companies, they are requiring less funding than the others. And at the beginning of the live stream, I was mentioning why QBTS, D-Wave Quantum, is my favorite quantum computing company. And that's because they have mainly, during the entire timeline of quantum, since the early days of quantum, they have been focused on annealing systems. But during this call, they talked a lot about gate model and just everything they are doing with the qubits. And so with these quantum earnings, with these quantum companies, with everything they talk about with quantum, there's a lot of complex things said. And so there was a lot, I know, that could be perceived as dry information, but if you get the time to go back and really listen to it, so go back if you didn't understand the first time and rewatch the call. And if you really don't understand, just, research a lot of the words that they are talking about, research what they are talking about with the atoms, the qubits, everything like that. A great read I would recommend to everybody. And no, I don't get any commission for ever recommending any books or anything like that. I just like to share my knowledge, and I do feel that the more you learn, the more you earn. And so a tremendous book that just talks all about quantum and can really help you understand the sector is by Michio Kaku, and the book is Quantum Supremacy. So during that earnings call, not only did we get Quantum's earnings, we got, what the insiders had to say. We got words from Alan Baratz. Again, the biggest takeaway I take from all of this is that D-Wave is becoming very versatile, not just working on the annealing systems, which again are a bit more useful in today's world. So D-Wave working with many different commercial customers, picking up big bookings through this last year. So great customer acquisition. I love to see that. Not only are they really making these companies happy with their annealing computers, but also they are focused a lot on gate model, which is what mainly all the other companies focus on. By the way, beautiful, gorgeous day out here in Tempe, Arizona, where we have Qubit Quantum Computing Incorporated. They have a quantum photonic chip foundry out here. We were here for their earnings yesterday. So with the quantum names right now, QBTS seeing some rough price action for this morning. But look at this in terms of a rising support and resistance. If we just bring this up slightly here, it does look like we just bounced off of this level. So we were talking about this early in the stream. It does appear that we have some lower highs and higher lows being created. Overall, I know that QBTS did miss on earnings expectations today, but again, I am bullish on the company, still very bullish on the entire quantum sector. And again, when we look at the other plays, the semiconductor plays, other plays in technology that are having big runs right now, SanDisk, Advanced Micro Devices, the whole SMH, the semiconductor index, overall technology is still a very bullish sector overall. And then look at how accurate the price levels were for today. Now, we did talk a lot about the gamma exposure levels, and with this sell-off, well, this could just be protecting the dealers. If there was not the sell-off, we might have seen a full-out gamma squeeze if we started the day at $25. And so we do have the end of the pre-market here ending in 22 minutes. And then we get the first 30 minutes of the day, which is really when we see the most price action within the markets. We see a lot of short covering. We see a lot of buying, a lot of calls opening up, a lot of movement, a lot of volatility within the entire market. So not only did we get that this morning, but we also did get inflation. I saw some bears talking about this in the chat. Inflation jumping to a 3-year high. That is the headline CPI shows, and that's not the end of it. Just talking about the inflation, the higher gas prices, which have been caused by the war. But since the release of that, now this morning we have only been looking at QBTS, but if we venture off for just a second and look at the SPY and the triple Qs, both are actually having some positive price action since that CPI report just got released. Again, if you've been following me, you know my sentiment, my overall sentiment on the markets, and that is that I am looking into the future. I am looking at the new Fed chairman. I am looking at the money hunt helicopter coming back and dropping cash everywhere. I am looking at the grand old party wanting the markets to be pumping as we get to the midterm election. Also, for this week, a big runner. So I'm just going to tell you some of the plays that I am looking at today. First off, I want to say I'll finish off here with QBTS. This is the last we'll talk about it. Then we'll look at some other runners, and I'll stay here for the opening of the markets with you guys. Also, another bullish thing for the markets coming up is the elimination of the PDT trading rule. And so that will also be coming. That will open up a lot of volume within the markets. I truly believe these are the early days of quantum, and to all investors, especially those feeling fear, uncertainty, and doubt, what I would really recommend is if you don't totally understand this sector of quantum, just do as much research as possible. My most said word in 2025, Trump says his favorite word is tariffs. Well, mine is quantum, right? I talked so much about quantum computing. Now, to finish the day, the quantum sector can still run hot. we are seeing some momentum from Qubit right now. Rigetti having a bit of momentum, and this quantum sector does run in quite a bit of correlation. So right now we have had a big drop after a pre-earnings anticipation run up. Now we have broken through some levels of gamma exposure. Possibly we could get back to those levels and see an oversold reversal for today. We are low on the RSI. This is on the 5-minute time frame, by the way, and we may be seeing a bullish cross on the MACD. So I'm still very bullish for QBTS. I am already well positioned into this play, but if there is an oversold reversal in the markets, we started off red in a lot of the markets during this. If we do see a big push up, which the bears won't believe because they're just looking at the high CPI numbers, we could return to these levels that we were at higher during the earnings call. What I will say is there's already been a decent drop off of what could be perceived as the worst of news, the earnings coming in weaker than expected, and a bad CPI report. So I don't see an overall tank. Again, the news has came out early. We've already reacted to it. The markets have already reacted to it, and I do think we could see some short covering, or we could just see some overall dip buying. And again, this pisses off the bears who are in chat. So the bears who are here, they're mad. They're like, oh man, I don't want to hear that green money momentum. I want to hear that the CPI report is so bad that this is going to cause the end of the world. But I encourage those bears to think about this, and that is the wall of worry, and that is a timeline of all negative events. So I saw somebody in the chat saying, well, that now this puts the ball in the bears' court. Well, I would say why? It's just one inflation report, and wasn't this already expected? Who didn't think that inflation was going to come in high today? I surely thought it was going to come in high. When we do look at how it was in terms of expectations from Wall Street, Wall Street was expecting for the CPI year over year to come in at exactly what it came in at. So I don't care that the headline is that it is the highest it has been in years. And you know what's funny also for the bears? I'll give you this one. The inflation report is probably a big old lie in the sense that this comes from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And what do they love to do most? They love to cook the statistics. So most likely in the future, you will see these numbers are actually worse than was released today. Oftentimes numbers will be revised up and down. So overall inflation to me came in at about what is expected. And again, I am expecting for the Fed to print coming up this week. To me is quantum week, is crypto week, is Fed week. Again, now to finish on this thought, I just want to say in terms of the wall of worry, the shop, and then who was the other one? Manja. In terms of the wall of worry, you are both very bearish. With that, do you see anything about inflation here on the wall of worry, the timeline of the most important negative world events? I don't. We have all these other things, but we don't have just a simple inflation report. So in my opinion, that is always what this is. I am not giving this to the bears. And so to finish off with here, let's talk also, we do have this big crypto bill being looked at this week, and that is the Genius bill. This could be massive for all of cryptocurrency and stable coins. And so the Genius bill is being looked at this Thursday. Again, we might get a new federal chairman on Friday. If the mix of those events does happen, this could be massive for the markets, for speculative assets and cryptocurrency. And so the company that does issue US dollar coin, this is one that I am looking at, Circle Internet Group. In my opinion, this is a hot in play stock. They just recently reported on their earnings, and as we could see, there is an overall uptrend that is happening. We may see the 50-day, the golden cross, as they call it, the 50-day cross over the 200-day moving average. So many were not happy with QBTS's earnings today, but there was QUBT who did release their earnings yesterday. Now, there's a lot of gamma exposure around the level of 13. Gamma accelerates delta. And so if we do see a lot of contracts start to have a very positive delta, we start to pass through 13, we could see a lot of acceleration within the, and you are right here, it is the Clarity bill. Thank you so much. I get that mixed up all the time, but we could see a lot of price acceleration past the level of a 13. But right now, the major neckline of resistance for QUBT is at $13. So I'm well positioned in QUBT. I'm well positioned in QBTS, but some stocks to look at in terms of the daily movements going into the normal market hours. Again, we are finishing up the pre-market here in 15 minutes. Then we're going to see a ton of volatility. Right now, this is falling a bit on the RSI and the MACD. So not as clean of a setup as QBTS, which in my opinion just released a decent earnings, not necessarily a needle mover, but we'll see if QBTS does continue to sell off, or if this line drawn out here, if this will be reliable, these higher lows and lower highs. Overall, give me a second here and I'll just take a look at my portfolio, see if there's anything else that I want to call out to you guys before the market session does open. We have Robinhood in terms of price movement for right now. I'm not necessarily seeing a clean setup, but we'll see how the markets move. Again, CPI just came out, but overall we are seeing some green candlesticks. If you guys have any stocks that you are looking at going into the market session, I would be curious if there's any hot runners, anything that you guys are looking at. Let's take a look here at the earnings calendar, see if anybody else did report this morning. So we had JD, we had C, we had Under Armour. It does look like just reported. They have a market cap of 2.5 billion. eToro also. And overall, this is a big week for earnings. We have another AI player, Nebius. That is going to be before the open on Wednesday on the 13th. But most likely the next time I will be going live will be for our weekly preparation for the stock market, everything to expect. We do this every single Sunday before the markets open. It is our Sunday stock talk, and we have so much fun. We do similar to what we did today, where we break down a stock in terms of technical analysis, fundamental analysis, but usually we have even more fun. We'll break down different videos, so we'll look at funny videos. We'll just talk, off topic, everything like that. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Chrysanthemum Mom. So great to still see you here. Thank you for spending your morning with us. I know it is early where you are at. Yes, Planet Labs. So that actually brings me up to a quick one. I'm going to mention this probably in the video later today. So also, I always do a daily talk of stocks. So if you want a market recap at the end of today, we will talk about all of these different companies. But Planet Labs having insane growth, Chrysanthemum. It's incredible. I was looking at Planet Labs all the way back here last year, and Planet Labs has went like crazy. But there is a big space ETF. So if you are big into the space stocks, I saw this recently did officially come on to market. It's an easy one to remember. NASA. You may be wondering, what does NASA stand for? Well, that is not a space agency. Wink, wink. I'm just playing around. But overall, I do believe that this ETF right here can see a lot of growth. There is a lot of hype and speculation around the space stocks. And so take a look at NASA, and then Copen is flying. Let's take a look here at Copen. By the way, thank you to everybody who has joined me for today. It was great spending my morning with all of you. Wow, Copen is popping right now at $16.90. What is Copen exactly? Looks like there's some bullish candlesticks. Wearable technology. So this is interesting. Vision beyond imagination. Wow, that's an interesting one. I'll have to take a look more into this. But overall, today was a very fun morning. I really loved doing this. It was pure dark outside when I started this. I was tired. I woke up at 3:30. Oh, I was waking up. Oh my God, it's hard to wake up. And then I got into this, and we had so much fun, so much price action. Look at Copen. I'm sure many of us QBTS investors would have hoped that would have happened for this. But overall, again, we could be fighting through these levels of price magnetism today. Again, bouncing off of what looks like a rising level of support. And again, we may be seeing a bullish oversold reversal here. And again, I am not too worried about the high CPI numbers, in my opinion. Yes, I know the headline is that it is at a 3-year high, but really, who is surprised? Gas across the street, and I'm out here in Arizona, is at $5. And so, no worries for me. I'm just looking at the assets. And again, if we do have if we have high inflation, especially here in the short term, a lot of the times inflation will first go into the commodities, will go into, normal everyday prices. Will go into the housing market, will go into all of that. And then after that, we will see that money flow into the assets. As I always talk about, the Federal Reserve and the government want to continue to kick the can down the road. And so likely that is what they will continue to do. Again, if you just want to know kind of how I feel about the economy, the current economic state that we live in, I believe that we are in more of a Keynesian economy than we are in Austrian economy. There are those two styles of economics, those two beliefs. And where I think the Bears get things wrong is they look at things through an Austrian lens, through an economic point of view, which is Austrian. They will look at things such as the high inflation numbers. They will look at the long debt, the 39 trillion in debt that the government has, and they will worry thinking, oh my God, we need to cover that debt. But if you're a Keynesian, you say, well, it's only going to continue that way. The debt is the growth. The Fed, the government, they want to continue to kick the can down the road and continue to print more money. And so overall, that is what I believe will happen. My opinion, and I'm going to finish here in the live stream here in just a second. So Chrysanthemum, thank you for being here. Thank you for your kind words as well. But to finish my thoughts for the second half of the year, I am personally very bullish. I do believe that the new federal chairman is aligned with President Trump's views, which is cut, print, baby print. The grand old party wants to see success leading up to the midterms. We have the most bullish president of all time who wants to see the markets pumping. He's always taking the opportunity to brag about the markets. So going to the midterms, I'm sure he wants to brag about it more. And if you are in the camp of belief that there's a lot of manipulation within the markets, well, today, maybe Taco Tuesday, yesterday, a lot of fears sparked by the Iran situation, Trump saying that they are in like life support when it comes to those deals. Well, today is Tuesday, so again, maybe Taco Tuesday. So I am bullish for today. Again, I'm very bullish on QBTS. One last look at the indexes. We have the markets officially opening up here in 8 minutes. Both the major indexes have pushed green since the official CPI report came out, and some of the bears will think, well, the markets need to drop because of this, but big money wakes up early like we woke up today. So to everyone who woke up early for me today, we are ahead of the news because we know that CPI came out bad. Many will be waking up right now, reacting to that headline with some fear, uncertainty, and doubt. But if you really followed the price action this morning, the markets have only really pushed green. We are still technically in the red on the major indexes, but technically pushing green since the beginning of the CPI being reported. So nothing out of expectation. And then D-Wave earnings revenue falls 81%, but bookings surge nearly 2,000%. Yeah, again, I mean, year over year, the revenue falling. I'm not too concerned with that here in the short term. Again, I'm a long-term believer within quantum. Again, I love QBTS. Just research annealing versus gate model, and you could understand why a lot of these big corporations want to work with D-Wave quantum. Again, very bullish on all of that. Very bullish on the markets in terms of the economic calendar. The biggest things today were the CPI. So we got that out of the way. To me, that is the worst of the worst. And I think the markets just shrugged it off overall. Let's have a great market session, everybody. We're going to have some real volatility kicking here in just about 7 minutes. Maybe we will see an oversold reversal with QBTS, possibly get back to these levels again. Gamma accelerates delta. And so if we do break through these levels, we could see some big price action within QBTS. Again, the entire quantum sector moves in correlation. Oftentimes you will see these plays run together. Right now, Qubit is looking very positive, and we did have a breakthrough many different levels of gamma exposure with yesterday's earnings. And so we could really see some acceleration here in Qubit in just about 6 minutes. Overall, a very successful live stream. Once again, thank you to everybody who did attend. This was a fun one. I woke up early for this. but it was totally worth it. You guys made it totally worth it. I can't believe the turnout that we had for this. Again, if you enjoyed this live, we will be live again on Sunday. And oftentimes with these live streams, we will talk about even more than just the markets. We will start reacting to some funny videos and some other things. And so the main volatility here will be kicking off in 6 minutes. After that, I'll stick around for the first couple minutes of the market. And then after that, I will officially sign off for the day. So great luck to everybody, to everyone who has been here for the live stream. I appreciate you once again. To my moderators, to my longtime subscribers, Chrysanthemum, Two Wheels Pursue, always here showing support and saying to hit the like button. My friend, thank you for being here. Chrysan, the mom, thank you for being here. And thank you to Stephanie Diaz. She was also here earlier. I got to tell you guys the story. I know you guys know about that. I got to tell you guys the story sometime when Stephanie is here. I think she logged off, but she was here earlier today. So that was a lot of fun. And everyone else who joined, thank you for being here. Again, I am a young YouTuber. I just started this channel back in 2024. And so I really appreciate all of the support. If you like my videos or comment or subscribe to the channel, trust me, I really notice it. And in my belief, well, I say in my belief, I'm the guy who started all this. I know these are just the early days of green money momentum. In the future, I plan on doing a lot of day trading, a lot of live day trading. So we will do similar to today, where we will start in the pre-market, maybe not as early as we did today, but in the future we will do just like where we open up 30 minutes before the market opens, and then we'll be here live for the market open. So today you are seeing a preview of what the future will look like when we do more live daily, some more daily live streams. And then also Qubit right now looking like it could go even higher in terms of technical analysis, right in the middle on the RSI, on the MACD, possibly seeing a bullish reversal. But these are the early days of green money momentum. I cannot emphasize that enough. Do I do day trading? I will occasionally day trade. Now, most recently, I have been setting myself up for the higher time frames. I have been buying the dip on many different great plays and opportunities, going long while the markets have retracted, because a lot of setups right now look super appetizing, down by 50% or around those ranges. And then what am I looking at today? Again, I'm looking at the higher time frames. So in terms of day trading right now, I'm not really doing any day trading. I do day trade, but it is not my focus right now. When the markets continue to rip more bullish, I will look at more day trading, but it's always great to day trade on all of the major indexes, the triple leveraged ones, especially TQQQ, SPXL. If you are a bear on the markets, you could go with SQQQ. But again, I personally am not doing any shorting on the markets. I know we had some bears in the chat earlier. There is a time to do shorts. If I do shorts, I never go too long, because if shorts go the opposite way, it could be very ugly. But when I do shorts, I will oftentimes do just daily shorts. Now, again, I know that some bears are thinking that the markets need to drop upon open because of the bad CPI numbers. In my opinion, I do believe that we will continue to rally today. We'll see if that prediction comes out to be great or bad here in about 2 minutes. Will it age like milk or will it age like wine? Only time will tell. But yes, to that answer, I'm being long-winded here. I do some day trading, but right now I am positioned in a lot of swings. But yes, DKA, if you're new here, I will be soon doing some live day trading, especially once we get the elimination of the PDT rule. I'll probably do a small account challenge, start with about 2,000, because with the elimination of the rule, we are going from 25,000 down to 2,000. So exciting times. But overall, yeah, cool. Thank you for being here, by the way. This was a fun live stream. Again, spending my morning with you guys, a lot of entertainment. This is the earliest live stream I have ever done. We're going to see the official open to the markets here. My personal portfolio should see some beautiful candlesticks. My favorite time of the day once we see a big market open, and they should see those candlesticks if we continue to see the price action from Qubit. So here on screen, I have the S&P and the NASDAQ. Guys, we got about 10 more minutes on this live stream. As I always say, the first 30 minutes of the market open are the most volatile time of the day. I'm expecting a big push up in Qubit, some big green candlesticks, but we'll see where the markets open up. Let's see if the SPY or the triple Qs, how their price action is. Again, the first 30 minutes of the market are so volatile. So such a fun time. Overall, a successful live stream. By the way, guys, we live stream every single Sunday, 30 minutes before the overnight session opens. And we talk a lot about the markets and other factors. So it's always fun for the lives that we do. 1 minute here. I got my morning coffee. As you guys could tell, I'm very hyped. That's what got me up for this morning. It was a great time, by the way. Thanks to all for the support. There you go. There you have the volatility. Looks like there's a lot of price fighting right now. The bears are celebrating in the moment. Again, these are just a candlestick for the moment. The first 30 minutes are so volatile, so really anything can happen. Will we see a bearish reversal here on the MACD for both of these? Let's see. Let's take a look here at Qubit. How is Qubit opening up at 1285? Again, we have a lot of neckline resistance around 13. Let's go, Qubit. Woo! This is why I love options contracts here. I'll hide the dollar amount, but look at that volatile uptick right there, baby. I love options. If you guys don't do options, again, I talk a lot about options on this channel. I'm seeing a big shoot up from Qubit. Let's go, baby. My favorite time of the day. Right now, both of the major indexes are pushing slightly into the red, but again, this right now is not too crazy in terms of a candlestick just yet. Let me get the I always like to look at my phone too, so give me just a second as I pull that up. Again, this is exciting. Live price action today. I love this, guys. This is so much fun. Such a fun morning that we had, and it's beautiful. The sun's out. It's probably hot as hell out here in Arizona now. What is the weather? 77 degrees. Well, it'll get hot as hell, guys, around noon. It's going to be 99, and then by 1 o'clock, it will be 102. When you're in Arizona, remember when you got took to the zoo when it was 102? It's hot days out here. But yeah, right now, in terms of the candlestick, it's not like we're getting the morning plunge, which is a positive. Sometimes when the markets open for the day, especially on the bearish days, especially with what the bears want right now with the high CPI report, you could see a nasty morning plunge. Right now, we are actually seeing just not too much movement. Again, a red candlestick, but nothing too crazy right now. Let's take a look here at the 1 minute time frame. This is on the 5 minute time frame. Hope everyone's doing well. Tell me if you have any plays that are running right now. Qubit is running for me. Whoa! Oh my God. Again, the volatility, guys. I show this not to brag. This is why I cut out the dollar amount. Never about the dollar amount, but look at that. Boom! Beautiful green candlestick right there. Qubit is pushing. I am seeing some momentum. I'm well diversified in many different plays and opportunities, so it could be an even bigger green candlestick if something else was pushing. By the way, the hot in-play stock runner that I was talking about, something to look at, is Circle Internet Group. Right now, Circle Internet Group, god dang it, I put up California research. I did that yesterday. Circle Internet Group, ticker SRCL, is having a big push up right now. Look at that big, beautiful green candlestick. As I was talking about earlier, we do have the big crypto bill that is being looked at later this week on the 14th. We have a new federal chairman coming on the 15th. Circle Internet Group currently pushing up by 5%, and we could be seeing a bullish reversal here on the MACD for the 5 minute time frame. So Circle Internet Group, I'm seeing some gains from that currently. Also, this was mentioned earlier in the chat. It was running up in the pre-market, still running up now. That is RVI, Robinhood Ventures Index Fund, currently down, I guess to say, but it did have a big run up in the pre-market. Overall, I am very bullish on this fund right here. Again, for those who are into space but don't know what space to trade individually, NASA, not a space agency. You could look at that. SoundHound, it looks like we have something about that. SoundHound announced a mixed shelf offering. Let me do some research here. I hate when my keyboard doesn't type in. Let me just type in SoundHound, and if I could see anything on that. Soundhound. Let me put it to this one. I'm looking at Soundhound News on my other, and then I see some other things, but I don't see any. Soundhound AI. Here we go. Here's what you are talking about here. Wow, again, not a space agency is having a big push up right now. Let's take a look here at, again, Circle Internet Group, a very hot in play stock. Again, this stock can see even more momentum this week. Let's go. We are getting pushes up everywhere. Unfortunately, for our favorite, one of our favorite plays of what's it called? Soundhound AI here, Mr. Two Wheels Pursuit, not seeing positive price action this morning. Circle Internet Group having a big push up. Applied Digital, Chrysanthemum, if you're still here, I know you're a big fan of Applied Digital. And then wow, again, this is the type of price action you get in the morning. But guys, don't be fooled. These are just the beginning parts of the day. But again, we had some bears here in chat who were saying this is the end of the world. Get ready for the SPY to dump to zero. Avocados are going to go to $1 million per avocado because of that high CPI report. But overall, the markets are still having decent price action. If CPI was the end of the world, would we not have seen a cold plunge this morning? Overall, we are seeing some stocks in the green. We are seeing some stocks in the red. Circle Internet Group, again, having a push. But again, never financial advice. And I just love the markets. So I am super excited. Here's a stock that is having a drop right now. So don't get influenced by anything I am saying right now. I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm just reacting to opening market volatility. CoreWeave having a big drop off, possibly a buy the dip opportunity, maybe to say, but first 30 minutes of the day, things could get more volatile. Doesn't look like we've found a support for a reversal here, a bullish reversal on CoreWeave yet. I personally would wait to open up a position again, looking at higher time frames at CoreWeave at 100. Again, the Soundhound filing for a mixed shelf offering size, filed for mixed size not disclosed. Sales agreement covers offering up to 300 million of Class A common stock under equity distribution agreement. We'll talk more of that in the daily talk of stock later today, but thank you for telling me that, Mr. Two Wheels Pursuit. I do appreciate that. Chrysanthemum, great to see you here as well. You guys make this channel what it is. The longtime support that you guys show, it really is so appreciated. Right now, Soundhound at $8.19. The bears have been really trying to push this. As we know, Two Wheels, there is a lot of gamma exposure right around at $10. Overall, it looks like we have slightly broken under this trend that has been ascending, but we could always see a reversal either way. Now, we could, unfortunately, maybe this share offering can act as a negative. We could see a bearish reversal here on the MACD, but only time will tell. Overall, again, I am very bullish on the technology, AI, and quantum sector. Whoa, my gosh. Again, guys, this is never to brag. This is why I cut out the dollar amount, but look at that right there. I am seeing a big boost up in my portfolio. What is causing this right now? Well, Qubit, let's go. Woo, Qubit. Again, the quantum sector. Wow, look at Qubit at $3.56. Boom, look at that right there. The gap up. Again, Photonic Chip Foundry out here in Tempe, Arizona. I'm going to have to go down there and shake all of their hands. Let's go, Qubit. Seeing a big push up in my portfolio from Qubit right now. What else is pushing me up? And again, this is with some plays in the red. Applied Digital pushing me up. Let's go, Chrysanthemum. Circle Internet Group, again, having a big push up this morning. Right now, QBTS, D-Wave Quantum. Let's see if we could see that oversold reversal. This was the live stream for QBTS. So what is happening with QBTS? Again, fighting through some major levels of gamma resistance. We could possibly be seeing a bullish reversal again. The quantum sector does run in quite a bit of correlation. So a very positive day for Qubit. Those who are waking up late may just be reacting to the price action that we have seen. Rigetti still having a hard time breaking past the levels of support right around $20. Wow. What a day we are already seeing within the markets. Again, guys, the way I am seeing this price action and volatility within my within my portfolio, again, boom, that is insane. It is from mainly the movements that we are seeing in Qubit right now, with some also coming from the movements which are in Circle Internet Group. One of my favorite plays thus far, Robinhood stock. Not really having too much movement. If Robinhood was a bit more bullish, we'd see even crazier of green candlesticks. Wow. 14 in Qubit. Quantum. If you missed my live earnings yesterday, we talked about Quantum Computing Incorporated and Rigetti. This is incredible. And again, this is never to brag. Whoa! Holy fuck, dude. That's insane. Okay, I swear to God, dude, I'm not bragging about this, but again, this is why I love options. Again, I always want to cut out the dollar amount because this is never about bragging about the dollar amount, but holy fuck, dude. 900, and I'm just going to say it. I'm going to take a screenshot. I'll show it in my daily talk of stock later. So if you're not here, dude, my options, holy shit, dude. Qubit, let's go. Dude. 917% ROI on these contracts. Wow, I'm going to sell one of these positions right now. Holy moly, listen to that beautiful bing sound. That is crazy. I almost just saw a 10x here on the market open. Holy moly. And I have a lot of options contracts. These other ones up by 487%. Again, this is never to brag. I'm just telling you guys, this is why I am looking at the higher time frames right now. Dude, okay. Oh my God, Qubit, let's go. Wow, the overall market's pushing up in general. Poet Technologies pushing up. QUBT pushing up. One of my favorites, Circle Internet Group, is pushing up. Even Hims and Hers getting a little bit of a push from the death that they recently just had. AMD having a big push up again in the red. Yeah, no, Chrysanthemum. Again, this is why I talk so much about options contracts. This is insane movement that we are seeing in Qubit, but again, so volatile. So those were almost up just 10x a second ago. This is the type of volatility with options. Now they are up 881%. Today's return alone, 575% on that Qubit contract. Again, these contracts provide asymmetrical return on investment. Here's another one currently up 385%. That is incredible, everybody. Quantum computing, this is what we call a gamma squeeze. Again, we looked at the major levels of gamma exposure. Look at that now at the 200-day moving average. Just yesterday, we were talking about the major levels of gamma exposure with Qubit. You know, we could not see QBTS break through those levels this morning, at least yet, but we did talk about those major levels of gamma for the weekly expiration with QUBT. And wow, look at that right here. Oh, one down. Let's get net gamma off. We talked about how 12 was a crazy level and how if you break through these levels, this is when you get what is considered the gamma squeeze, and we are at 1434. This is so exciting. Yes, I did take some profit and I did cash out a little bit. I still have some options contracts that I will continue to hold. This is asymmetric return on investment right here. This is what I always talk about. Again, Chrysanthemum and Two Wheels Pursuit. You guys, I know you will be at my live or at my daily talk of stock later, where I talk about everything that we saw today. I will talk about this, taking another screenshot here, but I did sell on some of my positions. So yes, I absolutely did take some profits, but still keeping a runner. This is what I always talk about, by the way. What's so incredible about these options contracts, again, this might be an amazing day. This is the opening volatility to the day. We could have a big pop off. We could have a big drop back down. I wouldn't be surprised, but overall the price action does look bullish. But man, I'm having a hard time getting my thoughts together now. But what's crazy about these options contracts, again, asymmetrical return on investment. With that contract I just sold, that was a 9x plus. So with that contract alone, I was able to cover 9 contracts worth with just one. This is what is incredible with having options contracts. Dude, I cannot believe that. That is absolutely absolutely incredible. And to everybody, if you think I'm bragging, I'm really not. This is just true excitement. I absolutely love options contracts. In my opinion, they are the greatest form of investment, the greatest financial derivative ever created. And it's because of what I just saw. I mean, a 900% ROI. That is insane. Yeah, a 10 bagger at the open here. We may officially see this get up to being a 10 bagger. Right now, this is up by 925%. This is incredible. This is just one of my positions. I have one position at 920%. I have another position here at 398. You know what? I'll just show you guys if you want to see. Again, this channel is never about money. I'll just show you one of my small positions here on Qubit if you guys want to see it, just so you could verify that I am being real here. If you guys are here for the first time, again, we go live so often. Let me just show one of my positions here. So this is insane. I just sold some contracts here, but take a look here. And again, I never really show this. So if you're here and you're seeing this, this is special. This is just a position right here off of this incredible movement. Looks like we may see a red candlestick. Let me hold up. Okay, I got it on the wrong screen here. But look at that right here. Now it's at 881%. But this is the type of volatility that you could see with these options, up 575%. Now, this is shorter term dated. So this is for this week. I do go longer out with some leaps. I have some further contracts within QUBT. But look at that. Incredible 881%, 855% return on investment. Some serious gains right there. This has been incredible. We are seeing a gamma squeeze. In your guys' opinion, should I sell another contract or should I stick through? This is my short-term one, so I still have more if I do sell out. I'll just take one more for a profit. Can't hate on taking a victory. Wow, what an amazing to the day. I woke up, I made some money, I participated in all of this with you guys. This is so much fun. I still have a lot of Qubit, but I've gotten out here possibly on the top during the early morning volatility while we have seen a bit of a gamma squeeze within Qubit. But again, I think the momentum may continue to run up. We may see Qubit go all the way up to 15, 16 and beyond. And I might say, oh, I missed out on, some of the gains that were to be had. But again, that is just off of a small position there. Again, when it comes to these options contracts, I have many of these, and this is just incredible movements. Again, just taking a small profit to hedge. We have Palantir pushing up, Applied Digital, AMD. Yeah, the Bears. I thought the Bears were saying, weren't the SPY going to 100? Yeah. What happened, man? I don't think he's here anymore. He's probably feeling a little bit angry because wow, this is, again, just incredible. Such movements that we have had. A lot of the markets are pushing up right now. Let's take a look. The stream was for QBTS. And thank you guys again to everybody who has participated in these early market movements with me. Again, I love to educate. Let's go. Are we seeing that bullish reversal again, breaking through some levels? The Bears were saying that this was the end of the day. And then Chrysanthemum, this is exactly why I talk so much about options contracts. What you are looking at here is my trading portfolio and just one position I have on Qubit. And as I say so often, what I'm always looking for is some asymmetrical return on investment. I love the options contracts because I have also at times, many times, struggled with taking profits, especially when it comes to just holding underlying shares, because I would say in the stock market, we have investing and then we also have speculation. Many of us do invest for the future. One of my plays that I do invest heavily into for the future, and I'm talking holding up for a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, is a Robinhood stock. So I'm not really too concerned with the price movement in terms of holding my shares. And when it does come to holding shares, what makes it so hard to take profits, in my opinion, is many times you do watch the stock run up, you get emotionally attached to it. You may see yourself go up 20, 50, 100% even. And then you see that crash and then you think, damn, I wish I would have held those shares. Well, to scratch your mind a little bit, just like we were talking about with this quantum computing call, which again is right now up 835%. I originally had 5 contracts on that and I've thinned it down, but very easy to take profits when the ROI is so large. Going up, anytime I go up 100%, I start start to sell some contracts, because then I could basically make a risk-free investment if I decide to sell half of those contracts. If I don't decide to sell half and I decide to hold even more, and something happens like today, it's insane. And know with these options contracts, they could also be zero or hero. So just like this, again, look at that massive jump this morning. Again, this is just one contract. I've greatly thinned out this position, taken a lot of profit here. But when you make such insane ROI, it's hard to not take that return, because it's like, if I was up only 20%, maybe I would be a little bit hesitant. But because that went up damn near 10x, I mean, I feel I would be a fool not to take some of my profits. And again, I have more running on some deeper leaps here on QUBT. So an incredible morning that we have seen here. And again, when it comes to D-Wave Quantum, we may possibly see that bullish reversal. I put my buy the dip hat on earlier for good luck opportunity. Heck, I'll do it again before we finish off, because again, I do believe in these levels of price magnetism that we drew out, and QUBT having a crazy run up. If we do break through these levels, gamma does influence delta, and delta is basically the underlying value of the contracts. And then we could start to see what is considered a gamma squeeze. This has been an amazing morning altogether. I had my morning coffee, super hyped. We listened to QBTS's earnings and everything like that. And Chrysanthemum, yes, hindsight always 2020. But you know what, Chrysanthemum, you are one of my favorite subscribers here on this channel. You too, Wheels, Stephanie, and we have some others. George Hatfield, I don't think he's here, but he's a cool guy. We have a ton of cool subscribers. I haven't seen them in a while, but you guys know Norris, Adam, they're always awesome too. But I really appreciate you guys. And what I love about your comments, Chrysanthemum, is you encourage me to do better myself. And you're always saying how I help to educate you. And I greatly appreciate that, because this channel was created as a trading journal for myself, but also as a way to connect with other investors. By the way, I saw you signed up on my website, Chrysanthemum. So thank you so much. Overall, this is all a learning experience. What my goal, what my purpose here is on YouTube, I feel like my life purpose is to help to educate others and to do it in a free manner. So to everyone who's listening to me for the first time, as I've said many times before, I am just an individual investor who seeks more knowledge, who is always looking to improve, who is always looking to better myself. I created this back in 2024 as a trading journal. A community has started to be built. I am still a small YouTuber, but looking to always improve. And my commitment to this channel, my commitment to everybody, my word to everybody is that I am looking to keep everything as free as possible. I'm not doing any trading courses, anything like that. And that is despite YouTube basically paying me nothing. So if you look at my revenue here on YouTube, if you've ever wondered what a YouTuber makes, well, this is what it looks like for a small YouTuber. So just know that I am doing this for passion. I love doing this. I do this for all of you who show up. But look at this right here. This is a video that got 324 views. I only made $1.87. This was for a ton of work. This was also for 33 minutes worth of making a video. I had to do all that research, then I had to talk, then I had to edit. So at least 2 hours worth of work, not even really being paid $1 per hour. But that is okay, because this channel is all about return on investment, all about performance. I'm always just looking to help to educate others, but maybe that gives you some type of insight on why so many YouTubers are selling courses, because a lot of the finance community, a lot of these YouTubers on here, that is all that they are really trying to do. And look at that, not a bad idea to take some of that profit. Now let's take a look at volatility, because I got to show you guys the upside and the downside. This is how quickly options contracts can move, but I sold out of the majority of my position here. I still have other options contracts in my portfolio that run longer. But look at that, from nearly damn a 10 bagger all the way down to 650%. But again, I'm not concerned. This is now a runner. I bought this for 39 cents. This is now worth $2.90, at one point worth $3.78, where I was taking a lot of that profit. So a great day overall. If this does continue to bleed, time decay can start to hurt this. So I may be thinned out of this position by the end of the day. day unless we see some volatility back towards the upside. Again, the first 30 minutes are always so volatile. Overall, this morning we did have CPI. In my opinion, CPI didn't come out anything other than expected. And so the market's right now still having some decent price action. Again, if CPI were the end of the world, I believe we would have seen one of those cold plunges within the market. And again, everybody who is new here for the first time, I always do a daily talk of stock where I talk about everything that we can expect this upcoming week within the market. Sorry, now I'm just like on script almost. I do that every single Sunday. Every single day I talk about the markets. I do a market recap. We have been going live a lot most recently. We go live every single Sunday, and we'll go live for these earnings reports. This is the first one that we've done in the morning. In the future, going to do some live day trading, but I'm going to shut up now. I'm going to let you all have a great rest of your day. My morning coffee got me super hyped. It's time to make some breakfast, some profits being made this morning. And should you end the live so you could concentrate? No, not at all. I love actually being on camera. I believe, like a peanut, there's like pressure sometimes, and some pressure can crack a peanut. Other pressure can slip a peanut right through. No, I already made some profit this morning, Chrysanthemum. I am doing great overall. I am very happy with what we saw this morning. And thank you again for your support. Congrats on taking those rips. Thank you, my friend. Yes, again, and QUBT may continue to run up throughout the day. Again, already very exciting price action, again ripping through some levels, but again we have a lot of gamma exposure right around $13, so I may be thinning out of that contract. Completely depends on what happens next, but no, my focus is not broken at all. I thrive under pressure. I'm happy you are buying the dips. Two wheels pursuit. My main focus this morning was all around quantum. Personally, I have not taken any dips. By the way, again, I just want to say this, and then I am going to sign out here. This is the type of price action that does occur in the first 30 minutes of the day. This is why I was saying not to be influenced by anything I am doing. In the morning, I was seeing a big price rip from Circle Internet Group, and look, already has had a reversal. But again, as I say, I am looking at the higher time frames right now, so not too worried about this right here. I took some profits on Qubit, so happy with that asymmetric return on investment. And with Circle Internet Group, again, I believe in the higher time frame setup, but this is where the first 30 minutes of the day can be so very volatile. But again, I'm still very bullish on Circle Internet Group, very bullish on the quantum sector, very bullish on the small caps, on technology. Look at that right there. QBTS still in this trend right here. Overall, guys, it was a 3-hour live stream. I woke up today at 3:30 a.m. Arizona Mountain Standard Time. Many of you joined me very early in the morning, so thank you to everybody who was here. Thank you for your support here. Thank you. And thank you. Okay, Luke, well, the bubble may pop, but hey, guess what? As long as you get in the right type of investments, again, trading wise, you can make some asymmetric return on investment. That was very exciting for the day, guys. Thank you all so much for joining me on this QBTS D-Wave live stream earnings. Please hit the like button if you haven't already done so. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. It was a successful live stream once again. We'll have a daily recap at the end of the day. To everybody, great luck to you all for the rest of the day. Thank you for participating in the live stream. Please leave a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And that's right, the 3-hour tour. So everybody have a great rest of your day. I will see you all later in today's daily talk of stock video recap. Have a good one, everyone.